அது கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணுறதுக்காக
Awesome, Malayva.
Good morning, delegates. On behalf of HECS and Yujoo, I warmly welcome you to today's technical seminar titled Care for Your Shores. This event features a world-class coastal structure application highlighting Tiecell, a pioneer technology for wave overtopping and erosion prevention. I request the dignitaries to please come onto the stage. Dr. J.R. Moses, CEO HECS, Dr. Vijay K.S., Assistant Professor, Department of Ocean Engineering, Dr. H. Karakwal, Scientist E, Member Secretary, MOEFCC, Dr. Sang Ki Kim from Yujoo, Mr. Juwan Yoon from Kotra. Please do come onto the stage. I request Mr. Eisenover as well to please come onto the stage. To start our program, please stand for the Tamil Thai Valtham.
கற்பக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Thank you. You may be seated. Founded in 1995, Hubert Envirocare Systems Private Limited (HECS) has been in the forefront of conducting environment impact studies on the coastal regulation zone projects. With over 2 decades of dedication to caring for our shores, HECS has actively contributed to the preservation and management of our coastal environments. I would now like to invite Dr. J.R. Moses, the CEO of HECS, to come forward and welcome our distinguished gathering.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to invite our chief guests and our delegates for this scheduled program. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Kadakwal, who has come all the way from ministry, and he has a very tight schedule. He's here this morning and he's rushing off in the evening, and his intense care for the shore, his personal commitment to the shore. When we told him about this program, he was very, very impressed, and he said, "Sir, I would like to be part of this and make this probably a good technical success in our country." So I thank Kadakwalji Namaste, and I also thank Professor Vijay. Actually, unfortunately, Professor Sanasi Raj was supposed to have joined today, and due to the emergency in the midnight, he has requested his junior to come, and Professor Sanasi Raj is highlighted of this technology, and he is very happy, and we have already held a couple of sessions with him, and I welcome Dr. Vijay, and also Dr.
My name is Arun. I'm from the Kotra, Chennai. Very nice to meet you.
He is the Kotra, the local trade chief of Korean Trade Agency, and Mr. Kim, our colleague, and he is going to work with us, and he is the CEO of the company. I welcome him, and I welcome. And you want to say something? You can speak in Korean.
반갑습니다. 이런 영광들이 반갑습니다. 이렇게 그 영광적인 자리에 이렇게 그 기회를 주셔서 감사합니다. 제가 성심성의껏 인도의 해양 방제 시설에 관하여 좋은 기술들을 설명하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
It's nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me at this event. I will be explaining our company's products for shore protecting, and I hope you all are able to enjoy the show. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Eisenhower, Swaminathan Eisenhower, my personal friend and a mentor and a retired managing director of Saint Gobain in Chennai. I have requested him, and he will conduct, and he'll be the master of ceremony and conduct the entire program. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming, and I request you to start, sir.
Thank you, Moses. Good morning, everybody. I think before we start the program, I request the dignitaries can take their seats in the front row so that we can start the seminar.
Yeah.
I think Vijay and Kadakwal will be going. So, good morning to everybody. I think the topic of today is very, very interesting, and requirement in India, especially the southern coast where we have a lot of erosion. So I think various technologies have been tried, and I've seen some of the details which Yujoo is presenting. So what they were doing earlier and how they have overcome, I think that is very, very interesting. I don't remember having seen it in Busan because Saint-Gobain had a factory in Busan, though it's a resort way, but Saint-Gobain had a factory in Busan, and I have not seen this particular working of, maybe it was done much later because I went in 2010. So I'm looking forward to a lot of discussions and a lot of interactions from all of us with Yujoo. But before that, I think we have with us Dr. Vijay and Dr. Karakwal. I think can I So I think Dr. Karakwal, thank you for coming from Delhi. I think he is a member secretary of the EAC. He is also a scientist at MOEF. So thank you, sir, for having named it today, because this is a subject in which I think all of us are very much interested, and presence of you, especially from MOEF, will add a lot of weight, and you could take up this type of technology which is available in India, which is available now in India through HECS, whether it can be used for reducing the soil, the erosion, especially the coastal erosion. I think Dr. Vijay, he primarily works on the numerical and experimental modeling of fluid structure international program. His research interest lies in the application of innovative, cost-effective, thin porous structures as breakwaters in the field of coastal engineering, apart from coupled dynamics of risers, wave energy converters, and floating offshore wind turbines. He is currently working as assistant professor in the Department of Ocean Engineering at IIT Madras since 2021. Before joining, Dr. Vijay worked in the subsea flexible industry, ocean engineering technique, for about 5 years. He completed his MTech and PhD from IIT Madras and IIT Kharagpur. Presently, he is handling sponsored project as principal investigator in the DST SERB Startup Research Grant, Naval Research Board, and Ministry of Earth Sciences. I think he also is guiding a lot of scholars, PhD scholars. So both of them are people who have knowledge of what is going on, and they will be able to really understand the technology when it is being presented. So, but before that, I would like Vijay to talk on his coastal protection structures and breakwater along the Indian coast first. I think Dr. Ramesh Ramachandran, I think unfortunately is having a meeting with the Chief Minister and will be here by about 12 o'clock. I now request Dr. Vijay to talk.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to be here. Professor Sanakar is supposed to be here due to emergency he left. So I'm presenting on his behalf. And I also work on the single area, so be good. Okay, nice. Let's quickly get into the topic. So here we are about to discuss on the coastal protection structures and breakwaters. I like the technical seminar title, which is the care for your shore, which is very interesting. Generally, the care word in the busy world we miss out, and something that not personal care, we care for the environment. So it is important and interesting. Yeah, the challenges along the Indian coast. So why it is important and why India should care about. As we know that on three sides we have covered by the seas, so it is important to talk about, and we have around 6,500 kilometers plus coastline, and also a lot of rivers terminate there. So a lot of complex activities go around, and imbalances because of the sediments that come around from the river, and because of which the dynamics, a lot of changes that come in picture. And what are the problems that we face? So we have the major part to the east coast and west coast, and many of the rivers they go to the east coast, and we have the following problems: the siltation of the entrance channels. So a lot of ports are there, and they get so the navigation channels get always the water depth keeps changing because of the siltations, and there is a continual maintenance required. And closing of river mouth, and this closing of river mouth, we happen to see it in Chennai, and we have this poem as well, and problems concerning the aquaculture. So because of this kind of activities, what are the challenges that is happening around, and the situation of the intake structures, and because of the global challenges that we have, and a lot of the intake structures are also available, and erosion along the east coast. So the average littoral drift. So because of the seasonal variations, and also because of the river mouth we have, so the littoral drift we happen to see that around 1 million meter cube per annum. So it is so huge, and because of the seasonal variation that we have, northeast monsoon and the southwest monsoon, and the aromas basically talk about the direction of the littoral drift, whether it is coming from the top to bottom or from the bottom to top. And the non-monsoon seasons. So the net drift, if we happen to see, it is primarily happening, and it is always on a higher side. Yeah. So on the various states, and the what are the length of coastline that we have. So here we have a complete table wherein the length of coast affected by sea. If you happen to see the total length, a significant portion of which is affected by the sea erosion, and there is a very interesting and challenging task ahead. Because of the human growth population. So primarily we are focused on the Tamil Nadu. If you happen to see, there is 27.95 kilometers of stretch. The length of coast is to be protected. So there's a lot of work to be done, and not just with the already existing technologies, but with some innovative technologies that will reduce the impact on the global activities. Yeah. So typical damages near coast, when we generally put some kind of the stats, people are not much aware, but with the actual scenario that is happening around. And we have cyclones every year. The Chennai also faces a lot of cyclone, and this is around the different parts of India, the Indian coast. Here you can see actually falling of temple by erosion in process. So why erosion is important? So that is of prime concern that we are here. And what are the different existing technologies, and what is the innovative technologies that we also look for, and how do we go forward. So primarily it all starts with some kind of a design, and some testing, and the real field implementation. So we are interested in understanding about the various design process, and also the innovative technologies, and how do we adapt to different site conditions. So these things are all site specific activities. Yeah. Next please. Okay, go to the next. So in the earlier we used to work on the breakwaters in the sense the conventional works, but then with the growing challenges, we are bound to focus on the innovative work, innovative concepts. So earlier it used to be a concept, now we are trying to implement in the real field. So it is, we have, we go to the slides. Now can you escape it and go to the slideshow mode? Can you try it that way? And I think you can leave it that way and go to slide number 7 maybe. Don't go to the full screen. And scroll down, go to 7. And you can skip 6. Sorry. Can you close it and open it again? Can you open it again? Okay, so what we primarily do at IIT Madras, so I mean, till these slides are back, so we'll have a quick discussion on it. So at IIT Madras, we do a lot of, with the students, we work on the different concepts and also we do model testing. We are primarily an academic institute, but not restrictive, but we also do a lot of consultancy activities related to the coastal, because we have the state-of-the-art testing facilities at IIT Madras. As if you are not aware, I strongly encourage everybody to visit IIT Madras Department of Ocean Engineering, where we have wave basins, wave flumes. So primarily for all these kind of model testings, we use the wave flumes. We have different capacities as well. So I've worked with Professor Sanazaj on different a couple of projects wherein it was interesting to see how it is done in the real field. So since I did not have experience of doing the experiments before, I was primarily with the numerical modeling, the coding guide. So I was into the real field implementation. So what goes on and how it is tested and what are the different instrumentations that come in picture, and how what the industry or the real field people actually look for. So that is of some prime concern. So it is of different experience. So in the recent past, many of the time for countries like India, we don't have scarcity with the natural materials. So that is the reason why we happen to see breakwaters wherein the rubble mounds are there. So primarily we go on, we make some proper design, we do some preliminary work, and then we go for the real field implementation. So it is with the rubble mount breakwaters. But then for countries in the Middle East, for example, we don't happen to see the rocks, right? We will not have readily available materials. So how do we deal with it? So primarily we are focusing on how do we deal with uncertainty. So that is the focus, that is the area in which we try to expand. So how do we adapt to the growing demand situations? So for countries like the Middle East, wherein Kuwait or some regions, wherein we don't have much of the rock, and importing becomes a good, it becomes altogether a costly activity. So the business, when people are pitching in, so primarily focused on reduced investment, but the maximum benefit without any loss of the technicality and also the advantages that it is offering, right? So if I am starting a business, I want to invest less, but then I should be rewarded more. So with that as basis, things are moving forward in the recent times. So what we primarily do is, instead of going for the conventional breakwaters, how do we come up with, I am happy to see a lot of models that have, I think they will be demonstrated or discussed. Yeah, I think we can go to slide number 7. the 7 we can skip out, I think maybe 8 or something. So the coastal protection, so these are some of the conventional things that you happen to see. For example, even if you go to the North Madras, much of the places you happen to see breakwaters, the groins coming out, and how it is all constructed, right? So depending on, so primary focus is on what is the water depth at that particular site. So depending on water depth, we come up with the solution that is required, right? Yeah, I think this is, yeah. Now we can go to full screen, I guess, it should be okay. Hey, what this enable is okay, fine. See what, yeah. So many of the places where the erosion is of prime concern, the seawalls are being put up, so generally massive and expensive, should be considered only where the adjoining shore is highly developed and the storm attack is very severe. And it is cross-shore sediment movement is dominant. So there are two ways in which the sediment transport basically happens, along the coast and also inward. Right, along-shore sediment transport causes flow erosion. So can you go to the next? The flow erosion is of prime concern, which basically destabilizes the situation, and experience in the west coast viable in many pockets. So when we say pockets of the different regions, and experience in east coast not viable in many locations. So some pictures of interest wherein we have the seawall at the Puducherry, wherein we can actually happen to see a proper slope coming out. Yeah. And some protection measure wherein to avoid any over a period of time, because all these things undergo, for example, all these things have a service life, right? So during its service, how does it work? So based on the experience, so some kind of netted structures are also used. And there are two ways in which we generally do. One is the hard measures and the soft measures. Many of you might be aware of it. This is one of the soft measures wherein the geotextile systems. The problem with this is that the locals, which many people don't know, if somebody punctures it, there is a chances of getting disturbed. So that is a prime reason. Still at many locations this is not adopted, but then these things are also coming up in combination with the existing methods. So the geotextile in combination with the some existing breakwater activities. So geotextile used at the seawall. So yeah, so there's some pictures of interest. So basically, it's kind of many of us might have seen when we go outside. So wherein the apples, they have been put up in some kind of a net. So the similar concept wherein all these kind of rocks have been well put up in some kind of netted structure, and it has been so the primary focus is on keeping it intact. So you can see that over a period of time how the construction of a seawall, but then because of the erosion that happens, there is a failure that is likely to happen in the future. So how do we mitigate it? So that is our focus. So the failures primarily, as we said, the extreme wave actions. So one thing first we have to focus is on what is the impact of waves and what is the site conditions, and where we are putting it, and what is the possible solutions that is generally adopted in the past, and how are we planning to move forward. So progressive failure from locally weak point, and overtopping and the true erosion, and post-detection techniques. So this is where the porosity starts pitching in. So the primary aim of any coastal protection structure is to dissipate your waves, and also to give reduce the reflection, and also reduce the transmission in case of the place where it is intended to. So here different pictures of interest. Yeah. So all these things you can see that many of the places it is come in combination with the sea walls, right? So the breakwaters, as said earlier, depending on the water depth, whether it is a smaller water depth or whether it is going to be increased or it is going to be highly varying water depth. So the rubble mounds are chosen in this range, 0 to 8 meter. Caisson type of breakwaters, wherein you deliberately construct some structures and put it on the site, and composite type, wherein these two things also pitch in. So impermeable structures obstruct the free passage of sediments. So that is a prime disadvantage of having this kind of structures. The ideal breakwater is the one that allows for the free passage. So whenever I make any design, just like how you start a business. So in this particular case, when we have a coast, the coast should not be getting disturbed, but then it should focus, and there should be a free passage of sediments, but then the energy dissipation or the impact of the energy at that localized area should come down. And the typical cross section of the rubble mound breakwater, you can see it here. So we have a top width and also how it is varying, and we do some ground preparation, and then we go on to construct the different layers. You have the primary layer and also the secondary layer and the core layer. So depending on we follow for all these activities, whatever we do, it has to comply with these standards. So so we have the Indian standards again. So all these things we take in consideration. And the slope 1:1.5. This is the rough value, and it is not necessarily to be same on both sides. One side we have the seaside, one side we have the harbor side. So depending on the requirement, the slopes are also adjusted, and accordingly the materials are also chosen. So here you can see how it is being put, and here you can see the seaside. Generally the slope on the seaside, we have it of the 1:1.5, and again the similar way we try to have it on the lee side. But again, as many of the times we try to discuss with the client to see what is required and whether it is workable. We do model testing it on our test facilities and ensure it is fine. So as said earlier, to improve the energy dissipation characteristics, is there any other better way than the conventional rubble mound? So that is where the widely used concrete armor units, wherein these things are precast in a site and they plotted to the site, and also they have different combinations come in picture, and primarily they work on the basis of interlocking mechanism. They primarily go on to lock it, so it has been precisely placed. Each module has been precisely placed, and so over a period of time, you can see how it has faded. And this acropod too, I have worked with this acropod, and we happen to see that there is not much difference with acropod 1 and 2 primarily, except the projections that you happen to see. So primarily it is, I think for some kind of extension of their patented works. So the pile supported breakwaters, this we recently also saw it in the Vietnam, wherein they have dedicated piles over which the rubbles are put up. So I said the function of any breakwater is to dissipate the energy to have a reduced reflection and transmission. So if you are able to construct a structure, if you are able to come up with some kind of a module that will do these kind of activities, wherein the energy dissipation is very high, reflection is less, and also the transmission is less. If it is able to do it, then it is a very good coastal protection structure. And these are some of the places where it has been come up. The idea or each one has their own advantages. As I said, the pile breakwater, wherein it has been deliberately put up, and the good thing is that you don't need to have a lot of material for working with the pile breakwaters, right? So you have a reduced area wherein you deliberately put the rocks between your piles, wherein the combination of both the rocks and also the piles are used. So lesser footprint, as said, so that's what we are talking about, and also the free passage of sediments. So recently we are also trying to work with the piles, wherein instead of having the rubbles, as you know that energy concentration is more on the sea surface. For example, you jump in a pool, much of the time you see the waves hitting on your interaction or your interface region only. So how do we dissipate the energy which is at the free surface, but it is not required throughout the water depth? For example, 8 meters water depth if you have, you don't need to put so much volume of material. So you need to have the volume of material closer near the free surface and a reduced material below. So how do we do it? So that is where the focus is going on. I'm pretty sure these models and also the discussion with you people will elevate us. So as said, the function of breakwaters, the transmission, reflection. So transmission is a prime, for example, if you are putting it primarily for the construction of your port and other things, the transmission of lesser than 0.5. So that is a rough number anyway, but we generally tend to keep it that if it is less than 0.5, it is meeting its needs. And reflection, as said, and also the energy dissipation has to be very high. So if you are able to, so all these things, much of the time, the theoretical front we put up, and we try to do some whether laboratory testing or numerical modeling, we try to combine them and to verify it basically, and also the run-up. So run-up, when we say it, primarily when the waves impinge on the structure, it moves on the structure, and how much it is trying to climb up. So that is what we call as a run-up. So and how do we what is the run-up is very high and it is higher than what is the projected area, so which means that it will overtop. So primarily all these things are all these things are linked, and dynamic pressures, and over a period of time how does it build up as well, and multi-purpose breakwaters. This is a very important place wherein we are trying to come up with the some kind of wave energy converters integrated to the breakwaters. So that is a project in which we are also working on, wherein instead of delivery or instead of intentionally constructing some kind of a structure in the sea for supporting your wave energy converter, you mount it on your breakwater. So your breakwater, if you are constructing it, make it very good such that it will also support the wave energy converter. So that is the focus. And so it all starts with the foundation level. So the wave forces on the breakwater is also important, and how do we calculate it on the numerical front and also on the experimental side. So all these things, if you actually see, there is a boundary within which they all work on. So I'll be happy to explore more and more with this seminar. So pipe supported breakwaters. So as I said, the primary focus is on reducing the volume of material here. The pipes we have it, and most of the structure is here. So and also we also have some kind of a porous structure, primarily that increasing the energy dissipation. So primarily we are increasing the vorticity that is happening at the nearshore region or the interaction zone. And some of the combinations, always there exist a lot of varieties, and we can also propose something and to come out, and if it is going to work in different sea states, then I think it is good to go. So the curved front face structures exhibit reduced reflection of waves. Arc plate was also found to be better than the horizontal plate. So this is also something which recently we are also trying to work with some kind of a funnel shaped structures, right? So wherein the wave energy converters also can be mounted. So all these things revolve around the return on investment. So if we happen to see as a client or what they want is, I invest this much money, how do I get it back, and how does it solve the purpose? So with these as basis, if we are able to think beyond, it will be very great. Okay, so the new concepts of pipe supported breakwater with berthing facility, I said. So along with the berthing facility, some kind of structures, so for example, the OWC energy conversion, and also the heaving buoy. So that is the one that we are presently working on, and it is very interesting. The problem with all these wave energy converters is the efficiency. So generally, if you happen to see hydrodynamic efficiency, you get it very high, but finally at the end, we happen to get 15 to 20%. So they reduce the efficiency. So we are trying to push that one, but then there are other ways in which you can compensate. The amount of investment that you do. Having reduced the amount of investment and also trying to maximize the energy capturing, right? So that is the thought process. In this case, Sarah has put an OWC device mounted on pipes, so that is some studies they have been working on. So as I said, here you can see a lot of tubular structures. I saw a couple of experiments worked out here. So primarily focused on energy dissipation in this case. So we are trying to create the turbulence at that region, the interaction zone, wherein the energy dissipation happens very high, and it just solves its purpose. And we also measure what is the forces that come and the moment that comes at your pipe wall. And when it comes to the methodology, we generally don't get into the experiments at a very front. That is the way in which for any kind of project. So we first do a lot of numerical investigations. Once we zoom in on a couple of ideas wherein it is proving to be very promising, then we venture on to do the experiment. So experiments is a very costly business when the moment you touch it, starting from acquiring the facility and also the materials required and also the manpower to do the experiments, all these things are very costly. So before we get into this, we do the numerical modeling extensively, then we go on to do the experimental only for a selected few. Some of the experiments that's done in our facilities. So many other times we also divide our facility to do two testings at a particular time itself. So that will help us understand for a given time how does one structure performs and the other structure also behaves. So on a simultaneous activities. As said, much of the time we are focused on getting the reflection, the transmission, and also the forces that come on the structure. and if you are going to integrate it with some kind of an wave energy devices, so how are we going to measure it? Whether it is going to be the heaving buoy or kind of a trapped zone where the OWC has some concepts. So overtopping, how we generally do it in our lab is primarily we have some kind of a collecting, some kind of a small tray wherein for a given wave, how much amount of water is overtopping the structure and it is collected. So based on which we project it, okay, 1:40 scale, 1:30 scale, this much will be the volume of, or this much amount of water will be overtopped and this will cause the damage. So that way we do on an experimental effect. So some stages of experiments and how it is done, and we also have some kind of a staple type. So many of the concepts that you see here is primarily you might have come across in some places. So it is all trying to integrate it and work out. So moderate transmission, tranquility. So tranquility. So this is a word they use primarily for any breakwaters. So the primary function of your breakwater should be to create a tranquil zone. So shelter for marine habitats and exchange of water masses. Some places they deliberately add some kind of reef. So for example, if you see in the Lakshadweep islands are close to that, so IIT Madras they have given the design and they have deployed a lot of artificial reefs. So primarily at aiming to increase the marine habitats. So exchange of water masses between the offshore and onshore regions. Yes. And this is one model that they have attempted before, and this is what we see in the Lakshadweep. If you have Google, I mean, you can just put it. IIT Madras efforts on this Lakshadweep marine habitat. You can see a lot of the real field implementations as well. And the materials so depending on the requirement, as said, we cannot give a direct solution. So first thing is we sit with the client to talk about what they actually want to do, and for a given site, what is the previous work. So always take lessons from the previous activities, and based on the previous activities and with the present technology, how do we get better? So that is in a nutshell, if you want to put it, this is the way in which things have or progressing at IIT Madras. So some of the different items that come in picture that has been put up. And as said, the structural configuration, the permeable rubble mound, the impermeable structure. The problem with these impermeable structures is that they do not help us in dissipating the energy. But then again, depending on type of the configuration, how you have it. So if you are having some kind of intricate shape, then of course it does its business. So geotextile tubes as well. So the challenges are the scar, the run-up, overtopping and indentations. And the selection strategy based on availability. So as I said earlier, based on availability, right? So preferred choice and functionality, what it has to do, and proven design principles. So for all these things, that is why we do the model testing as a primary. When you are going for the real field implementation, the model testing is of prime activity. So space constraints and environment, so it should not impact the environment as well. And recently with CWPRS in Pune, they are also coming up with using the ash as a material for constructing their rubbles. So not rubbles, basically they are constructing some kind of structures with which, so it is some people don't want it, so we take it as an input and how do we make it forward. So that is also a thought process. Yeah. So the innovations in process structures, so I said the innovations in the sense it has to be a non-traditional approach, right? And the construction method, material, configuration, shape, concept or device, that has a sound engineering basis. So whatever we do, some extensive work has to be done at a laboratory scale and also at the numerical front before we put up in the real field. So improve current methods, low height, broad crested structures, alternative structural forms, interlocking. So all these tetrapod, tripod, acropod, all these things work with the concept of interlocking. It is like they help each other and also they stay intact and in place. Just like you were saying. So they are all interlocked to be there, right? So the same process. So interlocking and alternative materials. Is there any other materials with which we can work out? And the geosynthetics, use of vegetation and other bioengineered approaches. So these are some of the ways in which we can bring the innovation into the coastal protection structures and how do we get better. So the problems in the near coast are dynamic and never ends. So as long as the human population exists and also the focus on the protection, so it is always a dynamic. So we have to change with the changes that pitches in. and how do we work out, and some recent or the publications that have been well documented in some of the books by our senior people, Professor Sundar and Sanas Raj, and they have been shown here for your reference. I also request everybody to step in at IIT Madras so that we can also showcase the state-of-the-art facilities, so that gives a good feel about what are things that go in and what are things that you want to do experiment. So we are also happy to assist you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. I think it's a very interesting presentation. I think IIT Madras, you got it at the new place, no? The social engineering.
Yeah, we also have.
I've seen the facilities there. It is really very good. I think many experiments can be conducted in that facility, in the new IIT complex. That's a very big one kind of is waves. I've seen the wave generation there. Okay, so I think I request participants, if any questions are there, please, Dr. Vijay would answer, or you could write it to us. We could later send you the answers also. Anybody want to ask any questions? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Dr. John Suresh. So I'm representing Organization for Plant. So we have been implementing the artificial wind project all around the Tamil Nadu coast.
Okay, nice.
And so far I have deployed more than 6,000 reefs. So it is really one of the proven technology. It's not only enhance the fishery resources, but it's also conserve the biodiversity. So on the other hand, I really appreciate your wonderful presentation with a lot of technology. But I'm not a technical person, but in a practical point of view, we are working in a Pulicat lake. So we actually conducting a regular, coastal biodiversity modeling study and other things. But the sea water, compared to last 15 years, so the sea actually water intrusion for 1 kilometer actually on land. And also sometimes Pulicat lake is sometimes open, sometimes closed down, and there's no inter-exchange of water between the sea and the lake. We absolutely it's increase the salinity and other problems. So the species are dying there. And we are all on one side, we are want to have a development, development project, construction of mega ports and other things. So this ports construction again, so it's make the sea water come into the land. And because sea we cannot have anything. Whatever plastic is one day it will definitely it come to the shore one day. So it clean by itself, by nature. But in this kind of context, so how we are going to challenge this kind of water intrusions of land? So that's my question.
So it is interesting, and it is not a straight answer to give for this. In the sense, see, all these things has one impacts the other. It is not, for example, if we make some shoreline changes, for example, in the Tamil Nadu region, so that will also have an impact on the other part. So over a period of time, you happen to see that erosion happens at one particular region and also the accretion on the other. So for example, if the Pulicat region is a focus that is on, for example, if there is a good water exchange, primarily we are talking about that because of, so first thing is we tend to see what are things, why it has come up. First thing is, first we answer the question, why it has happened, and what is the way in which you can make it better. For example, having a clear entrance. For example, this could also be possible because of the reduced exchange of water at that region, because of which whatever the minerals at that particular region might have continued to settle because of over a period of time, and also some kind of wastages that may be being there at that location for or some kind of it is like you have a body and how much the inflow should be there for outflow, right? For example, so I think it has to be worked out sitting with, understanding about the dynamics at that region and also studying about what has caused it and how do we bring it back in place. I think a lot of effort has to be taken care.
Thank you. So I'll meet you sometime.
Sure.
We'll discuss.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe Professor Sanasraj can give you a very straight answer, but I have to stay alongside to understand what has happened in the previous past to get in the dynamics of it.
Sir, I'm architect, sir. Your presentation was wonderful. I really like it. Very useful. I have got two questions. First question is that why can't we use the pyramid shape this thing for the sea for erosion control? You have used different types of technology. Why pyramid cannot be used? Because pyramid is the basic structure that has been generated thousands of years back. And then another thing is concern about the green energy. There has been some research going on to generate electricity from the waves. So, can we do some coastal safety for that generation of power from the ocean current, which is a useful thing because there has been concern for the climate change impact. So, is it possible, is it viable, economically viable to generate power through ocean current, waves? Because we are facing every time during monsoon times.
So, for example, if we take it in Israel, so in the port of Jaffa in Israel, so they have actually implemented the heaving buoy for the wave power extraction. So we are also thinking, I mean, so there are challenges involved. For example, our conditions are little Bay of Bengal. Basically, it's all little protected compared to what is the conditions at a different part of the world. So, but there are ways in which you can also focus the waves. So just like erosion happens because of the focus waves and deposition, accretion happens for multiple reasons. Right? So we have to see too, for example, if you are concentrating on energy extraction, you need to have a very high weather. In the sense, you need to have a very little bit rougher side. So, for example, a heaving structure, right? It also it has to resonate with the waves. It has to get vibrated all the time. So we need to see what is the dominating wave period at that particular site, and how do we tune your structure such that it will be operatable in all the seasons. So that is one part wherein we are trying to get some reasonable outcomes so that we can go for the, recently we filed a patent for one of our interesting concepts with my students. So that is a very nice, I hope it will work, but then we need to do a lot of TRL. So in India we have a nice levels that is being given.
But economic viability is also one of the
things.
Except it has got a lot of limitations because economically it is viable.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned in the presentation also for all these kind of structures, the devices, the efficiency is very low. See, for example, if I invest 100 rupees or 1 lakh rupees, when will I get it back? So that's a question. So as an investor, so that is a point that stops people from stepping in. So if I invest 1 lakh, how will I get it back? So when you develop a technology, that should be easy to adopt. First thing, the reduced investment should be there, and also it should yield me good, right? So the efficiency should be maximized. See, this 20%, so slowly we can push it, and we can have a technology, for example, instead of having multiple conversions, for example, IQ 100 rupees, so it should not change from hand to hand. So there should be a direct conversion wherein I will be able to extract convert the wave power to a usable power. So that is one way where we can be focused on. And also the other side is the reduced investment itself. So these are the two ways. And the very first question that you asked about the pyramid. So I think that we have to come out. I mean, in the sense, they are all the purpose meant. For example, the pyramids are meant for a different purpose. Yeah. What we are talking here is a completely different scenario. So I think not a different scenario which we can sit. I mean, we can have a clear understanding.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, in Virinjam,
yes.
IIT Chennai has installed
OWC, yes, almost.
And since it was not economically viable,
right.
It is now running only RO plant.
Yes, sir. So as a seawater intake, that's what you mean, right? So that's what I mean. Over the period, for example, in the last 2 to 3 decades, since the technology earlier, the wind turbines, all these things we see on the land. Now they have moved to the offshore, correct? So we invest all these things. What are the effort we put is basically a dot. So over a period of time, people connected to take it to the next level. So in the sense, what I want to say is all these things, a lot of effort has to be continuously being put up, and over a period of time, you will see the reality.
Sir, I am Suresh Babu, executive engineer. Yes, sir. Actually, we have an experimental model set up in our Institute of Hydraulics and Hydrology, Pundi. Okay, sir. I think you might have visited, or I request you to visit
No,
once.
sir, I have visited. Yeah.
Sir, the thing is, we have an experimental model set up there, so that we can check the stability analysis as well as performance analysis of groins, RMS walls like that. So I request that whenever you are doing the mathematical modeling, no, sir, you can approach us also for doing the experimental analysis and experimental model also.
Sure.
I request, sir, even any of the companies are like HECS, whenever they are coming up with a new proposal for this instead of PTP, something they have come out with a new proposal, no, sir. For that also for assessing the performance as well as the stability study, they can approach IHS Pundi. We are a state government organization. We are right from the 1950. We are serving the people. Around 25 acres of land with us. We have two excellent coastal model place where we can study the littoral drift of even the north pattern as well as the southern pattern also we can check. So excellent land setup as well as infrastructure facilities are available with us. Please utilize us also. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. I think I request now the HECS to Mr. Dr. Moses to please state Mr. Dr. Vijay.
Really, it was too good, doctor.
Very nice, huh?
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. It was very enlightening and a lot of new learnings for all of us. Now we will go into the technical session on regulatory measures for the coastal erosion control. We have with us Dr. H. Karakwal, who will now deliver the address. Dr. Karakwal, please.
First of all, thank you for inviting me as a Government of India Ministry Environment Forest Delhi. I will introduce myself, Dr. Harin Kharkwal, Member Secretary, Coastal Regulation Zone, and dealing all 13 coastal states of India as a Member Secretary. Now, so many policy decision is going on in Ministry. And then, first of all, thanks to Dr. Moses from the HECS, my good friend from Korea, Yujoo, and Dr. Kim, and our distinguished guests and different participants in different area. I'm looking very good gathering here. And one of the thing is, it is very interesting as a policy decision by the Government of India side. And first of all, I thanks to Dr. Vijay, given very good technical session and solved a lot of problems from my side. Whatever the what type of structure they are making, engineering side, and it will be very good. And I will tell you, this is the I will give no any PPT presentation, just simply give to policy type of thing in the ministry is going on. And I will tell you in government system, because coastal erosion in the CRZ deal by CRZ notification. Earlier, you know, in CRZ notification in Government of India and applicable in 91. Then after that, another notification issued or superseded in 2011, and now in year 19 already issued CRZ notification 19. And one good thing is the CRZ notification for the perspective of development side. I cannot say environment side, development side is slightly liberal than the 11. But my suggestion for the Tamil Nadu government as well as the HECS is very good consultant about the environment angle in the coastal areas. A lot of proposal is coming for the environment, CRZ clearance in the ministry. And my simple suggestion is, whoever the regulatory authority from the Tamil Nadu government, please try to complete your CZMP 19. It is very good for you and coastal community and fisher community, local people, those who are residing in different parts. And still CZMP 19 is not applicable in Tamil Nadu. And as per the CRZ notification, soil conservation method is very much permissible activity. I have visited so many times in Chennai after taking charge of this coastal regulation zone. I don't know, my personal feeling is this way. Chennai is my second house. I am belonging from Uttarakhand to Tharagat, but Chennai regularly visiting. It is that way. And whatever this CZMP, again I am repeating to CZMP 19, that a lot of court cases is going on in the different area of the coastal area. And one is the major decision by the NJT in South Zone. Coastal regulation zone should also include in the CZMP 19. My better advice, it is very good decision by the direction given by the South Zone NJT, and people are doing. But still, again I am suggesting to you people, those who are dealing this type of thing, CZMP 19 you have to follow further. And I am coming to that, especially this particular session is going on, care for your source. And so many methods are for the taking care of the shoreline. One is the big one, is the major is the engineering part. IIT is the very expertise in this case, especially from different IIT. IIT Chennai is very expert, and I have seen so many reports from their side. And another thing is, this is the engineering aspect. Second thing is my submission is the biological aspect. You have to also take care, because the sea erosion is the sometimes it's very high, sometimes the medium type, sometimes is the low erosion status. Everywhere we may not put up to this tetrapod in everywhere. We have to take care in the sustainable word nowadays is using. We have to take care that type of the thing. How we can save our the sea erosion area of shoreline. Last time I visited whole this Chennai area. From Pondicherry we started with our expert committee members in different, this is my personal experience I am sharing with you. From there, Pondicherry we went to up to the northern part of Chennai. This is 2-3 port is coming in the northern part up to Pulicat Lake. I have seen so many, Dr. Ramesh already, Dr. Vijay already shown in different figures. I have seen personally so many areas, hotels, houses that going to submerge due to soil erosion from Pondicherry to up to northern of Chennai. Chennai port also we have visited. My better advice, it should be remediation measures. Not only the you put everywhere tetrapod and that one, biological measure also think. Simply, why I am saying, you people have seen so many, because I am suggesting this experience from the different region. I have seen so many tetrapod placed in that Kerala belt. If you go to, we come to the coastal region of Kerala up to the West Bengal. What people are doing, everywhere tetrapod, whatever the structure, that structure issue I will come later on. Structure either new technology, Yujoo, Korea also doing, and earlier also so many reports suggested by the IIT Chennai. Kerala, they are putting tetrapod here, somewhere in 1 kilometer stretch of Kerala. Then that is moving up to Chennai, and that tetrapod is going toward up to the West Bengal. This is not the complete solution, because if we are putting tetrapod is here, then soil erosion comes to this way. And again we are putting tetrapod here, soil erosion to come to this way. Better to, we have to take care also the biological measure, long term, not a single short solution, engineering aspect. Immediately it looks very better, but in futuristic aspect it is not good for the shoreline people. This is my suggestion, what I feel. As per the Government of India, Ministry Environment Forest, we have cleared so many projects. I will tell you regarding especially so many news is coming. Chennai is flooded. Chennai is flooded. Why? Because so many your Coombe River, Adiyar River, I personally feel their mouth is closed by the siltation. Siltation. Ministry has already given so many proposals come from the government of Tamil Nadu. We already cleared Coombe River project, one Adiyar project. If mouth of that river is open, because it's the interchange of the sea as well as the river, both ways you are feeling so many such type of things like aging of that river, because the mouth is closed, water is stagnated, and lot of smell is coming from that way. But if that part, mouth of the river part open, then exchange of the biological, if we come to that way, marine biology come to the river biology go to marine, exchange of migratory fishes, whatever the different type of the fauna. One thing is that way. That should be very much take care. Second thing is the different type of the drainage type of project also cleared by the ministry. Because whenever the proposal comes, we are giving to CRZ clearance. Please take care to that type of the, from the administrative or government perspective I am saying. And these are the basic thing is what I in my mind coming right now. And second, I am coming to now this Yujoo technology. What I have seen in Indian scenario, we are putting tetrapod. But slightly, what I feel this Korean technology or Korea people are submitting right now. This is the whatever the current is coming, and that current speed, this stop and water go inside of that tetrapod and come out. But our tetrapod, what I have seen recently in Pondicherry or wherever, this is the simply breaking the speed. Here is the with breaking of the speed, that is the coming maybe technical point of view. IIT people can see is it feasible or not feasible. But my personal feeling in first appearance it look very good. But technical people is that IIT people can give this way. And overall, as a ministry, government of India, I personally support to this technology, Yujoo technology, what I have seen right now and earlier also I have learned from different platforms. This is my personal concern. If you have any question regarding related to me, very most welcome. I have no issue. I can very much friendly to give to answer and this one. This is whatever the answer I have given, this is my personal, not in take to the ministry perspective, because I am coming here as a personal invitation and not on behalf of ministry means I have taken, but I am not giving this any answer from the ministry perspective. Thank you very much, and this is my personal views about this one. Once again, congratulate to the HECS, especially Dr. Moses, Dr. Kim from the Kotra, Yujoo, Korea, and all dignitaries attended this one. Dr. Vijay also, and Eisenhower, he is presenting. So many people, I forgot some name, no issue. but my personal regard to all of one. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karakwal. I request HECS to state. Rajkumar will do the name, please.
Central. Central also.
Thank you. Now we'll have a tea break and we'll reassemble here in 15 minutes. So 11:45 we reassemble here.
come into the room and take your seats as we will be starting the program shortly. Request everyone to please come in and take your seats. We welcome you back for the second session. And we're going to have a few interesting topics. So I request you all to please come in, take your seats so that we can start off as soon as possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Before we start the session with Yujoo, we have a small talk by Mr. Prabhu Gandhi Jain. He is an expert on climate change matters and he runs an NGO. So he will give us a small talk. I think it's very important. The subject that we are talking is also connected with environment. So I request Mr. Gandhi to just speak for a few minutes before we start with the presentation.
Happy morning. Basically, I am a safety and disaster management consultant. My career is LNTCCL, Database Engine, Toshiba, Bosch, Harvey. So what I am feeling and sensing now disaster management. Varsho Pongal Deepavali na free hodu. I may eda disaster vandana right media ko narration puri. What I am thinking, you got many companies. Last year, Bangalore nadanda water crisis management we spoken. A lot of input. So water recycling in Malayam Visheta, உண்மையிலே தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட் நிறைய விஷயங்கள்ல ஒரு ரோல் மாடலாக இந்தியாவுக்கே இருக்கு. ஸோ அப்படின்ற போது இந்த மாதிரியான சிஸ்டம்ஸ் எல்லாமே இம்ப்ளிமெண்டேஷன் ஒரு இதில் நடக்கணும். வாட் ஐ எம் ஃபீலிங், டிசைன் அண்ட் ஆர்கிடெக்ட் ஒரு விஷயத்த ஒரு கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் பண்ணுறாங்க, ஒரு டேம், ஒரு ட்ரைனேஜ் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் அப்படின்னு பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா, இப்போ சென்னையை வாட் ஐ எம் திங்கிங், சென்னையை இப்போ மலையில் யூபர் கம்பெனி தான் காப்பாற்றணும். யூபர் கம்பெனி நினைச்சா கண்டிப்பாக காப்பாற்றணும். அதுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி டிசைன் அண்ட் ஆர்கிடெக்ட் இந்த மாதிரியான விஷயங்களை நம்ம இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணால் we can give engineering solution. இப்போ வேளச்சேரி, பள்ளிக்கண்ணை இதெல்லாம் வந்து மலையில் முழுகுது அப்படின்ற மாதிரி சில விஷயங்கள்லாம் பார்க்குறோம். சதுப்பு நிலங்கள்லாம் பாதுகாக்கணும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரிலாம் சொல்கிறோம். இப்போ இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட், நேற்று நடந்த பயணிங் இஷ்யூ சொல்கிறேன். வேளச்சேரி பீப்புள் அங்கே போராட்டம் நடத்துகிறாங்க. அப்போது அவங்களும் வெளியே இருக்கக்கூடாது, மழை தண்ணியும் போகணும் அப்படின்னா இந்த மாதிரியான இன்ஜினியரிங் சொல்யூஷன் தான் சொல்யூஷன்ற மாதிரி we are working on. இன்னொன்று யூபர்ட் மாதிரி கம்பெனிஸ் வந்து இண்டஸ்ட்ரி 4.0, அதாவது ஆட்டோமேஷன், மிஷின் லேர்னிங், ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்சிஸ் இதெல்லாம் வந்து டிசாஸ்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டில் அப்ளை பண்ணால் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம இன்கால்குலேட் பண்ணலாம். இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட், இப்போ ஃப்ளட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் பார்க்குறோம், ட்ரெயின் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் பார்க்குறோம். ட்ரெயின் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் எல்லாமே இந்த மாதிரி கொரோஷன் இந்த மாதிரி பாயிண்ட்ல எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு ரோட் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் பிரிட்ஜ் பண்ணுறச்செல்லாம் அந்த க்யூரிங் அந்த கோணி பை வைக்கிறது கூட நம்மளால் பார்க்க முடியல. அப்போ இந்த மாதிரி மாடர்ன் டெக்னாலஜிஸ் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் நம்ம உள்ளே கொண்டு வந்தோம்னா, ஏன்னா எவ்வளோ அட்வான்ஸ் டெக்னாலஜி வருது, ஆனால் அந்த இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் வந்து காமன் ஃபோரமில் வரலை, காமன் பப்ளிக் இண்டஸ்ட்ரீஸில் வரலை. இப்போ என் பாயிண்ட், இப்போ ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸ் இருக்கீங்க, சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸில் இருக்கீங்க, ஐஎஸ் கோடில் பிஓக்யூ பில் ஆஃப் குவான்டிட்டியில் இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்பெசிஃபிகேஷனை நீங்கள் கம்பல்சரி இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்கள். ஏன்னா பிஓபியில் வந்தால் தான், டிராயிங் அண்ட் டிசைனில் இந்த ஸ்பெசிஃபிகேஷன் வந்தால் தான் அந்த வெண்டாரால் இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ டிசைன் அண்ட் ஆர்கிடெக்டில் நீங்கள் சேஃப்டி இன்ஜினியரிங் உள்ளே கொண்டு வரலன்னா எதுவுமே இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. இப்போ டிசைன் அண்ட் டிராயிங்கில் இது மாதிரி பண்ணுறச்ச ஸ்பெசிஃபிகேஷன் கொடுங்க, பிஓபி பில் ஆஃப் குவான்டிட்டி ஆட் பண்ணுங்கள். ஆட் பண்ணால் அது கண்டிப்பாக அந்த வெண்டாரும் கான்ட்ராக்டும் கண்டிப்பாக இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ண போகிறோம். ஸோ இதுதான் என்னோட மேஜர் இன்புட். இன்னொரு பாயிண்ட் ரொம்ப சிம்பிளாக சொல்கிறேன், இனிமேல் டிசாஸ்டர் டேக்கிங் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர்ஸ் அந்த டிசைனில், ஏன்னா ஆர்கிடெக்டுக்கு இந்த மாதிரியான புரிதல் இல்லை. நான் ஓப்பனாக சொல்கிறேன், ஈவன் ஐஏஎஸ் ஐபிஎஸ் ஆஃபீஸர்ஸ்க்கு டிசாஸ்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டை எப்படி ஹேண்டில் பண்ணுற எஸ்ஓபிஸ் இல்லை. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரியான செமினார்ஸ் இனிமேல் யூபர்ட் மாதிரி கம்பெனிஸ் நிறைய முன்னெடுத்து நடத்தணும்னு கேட்கக்கூடிய. நன்றி.
Thank you. I think we'll now start with the main session of the day. I now request the Yujoo representatives to come on stage and give their presentation for the audience.
반갑습니다. 저는 한국에서 30년간 그 방파제를 건설하고 연구를 해서 지금 이걸 개발해 가지고 이렇게 인도에서 좋은 그 눈으로 봐주셔서 정말 감사하게 생각합니다. 그래서 저희가 한국에서 지금 국가 연구비로 개발된 사업입니다.
Check. Good afternoon, everyone. We are from Yujoo, which is a company in Korea which specializes in constructing technology for breaking the water. And I'm glad to be here in India presenting our company and hope that we have a good relationship coming forward.
그리고 저희 기술이 좀 이해하기 힘든 부분이 있어서 영상을 먼저 보여드리고 그 영상에 대한 설명을 따로 PT로 해드리도록 하겠습니다.
Since the technology can be a little difficult to understand with just pictures, we will show you videos first and explain the technology and the process and then move on to the presentation.
첫 번째는 그 부산 한국에 설치되어 있는 방파제가 되겠습니다.
The first video is this is a water breaking construction based in Busan in Seoul in South Korea, and yeah, that's the video of their product.
흰남노 태풍 때 바로 찍은 영상입니다.
This was shot during the typhoon which occurred in Busan at the time.
여기에 요 회파관이라는 장치가 안에 들어가 있습니다. 그래서 파도의 힘을 이용해서 되돌려보내는 그런 기술입니다.
So this is the device that is being used inside the construction. So it has the water enter from any side, and using the velocity and the force of the water comes out in the same force. So if it comes out in a slow it comes out as slow, or if it's strong, it comes out strong from all the four poles that are visible.
그래서 이거 상당히 비용도 절감이 되고 여기 주민들도 만족해 하고 있습니다.
So the people living in the town are also happy with the construction, mainly because they're able to use the space and it's a safe space now to protect them from disasters or
그래서 지금 대우도로에 보면 파도가 하나도 되지 않은 것을 볼 수 있습니다. 드라이 시스템.
You can see that the water is not coming onto the land and it's protected.
그리고 한국에서는 해안에서 바로 도로가 있고 건물들이 있습니다.
So in Korea, you can see that the coastline is here. There's a road to walk, and immediately the shops and the road is all starts, and yeah, that's how it's been constructed.
다음 영상을 보시겠습니다.
Yeah, we're just preparing for the next video.
영상.
Please stand by for technical difficulties.
한국에서도 지금 수십 년간 월파 피해가 상당히 많아서 이런 사람이 많이 다치고 세상상에 피해도 많이 있었습니다.
So even in Korea, because of the water's effect, especially in disasters, there's been a lot of casualties, as you can also see in the videos in other countries as well.
네, 이것은 지금 TDP 방파제가 있고 여기가 우리 다이셀 방파제.
So you can see that the difference is, one is the traditional TTP breakwater, which is the tetrapod. Those are the rocks that you can see. And the Tiecell breakwater is Yujoo's product, and you can see how the water is being attacked at the TTP and how it's been taken by the construction.
이것은 다이셀 방파제를 건설하는 그런 순서가 되겠습니다. 이와 같이 한 블록의 톤수는 100톤 정도 됩니다.
So if you could see in the video, each block was being placed with a crane. Each block weighs up to 100 tons, and they place single block at one time because you can't place an entire structure which almost weighs about 10,000 tons. So they construct it inside the water by placing it one by one like a Lego.
이 기존의 전통적인 100년 된 TTP 방식의 방파제입니다.
So this is the TTP or the tetrapod breakwater system which has been in use for the last 100 years.
그리고 여기에 태풍에 의해서 파손돼서 다시 우리 다이셀 방파제를 짓게 되었다.
Yeah, and if you could just go back in the video. Yes, the right side is the new Tiecell breakwater system presented by Yujoo, which, as you can see, takes up lesser space, is more economic and safer in construction.
자, 중요한 것은 태풍의 이 블록들을 수동에서 결속하는 방법인데 그에 대해서 설명합니다.
So how the Tiecell breakwater is constructed, that's the important part as to how it's being constructed, and now we're going to start explaining that process.
이 지금 방수막과 철근망이 수중에서 이렇게 들어가서 육성과 같은 이 강도의 콘크리트를 구현할 수 있다.
So they place the block under, which is a concrete block, and then they place this rod inside, which, if you can see, is protected by a waterproof membrane. So once they put that inside, then they add the cement so that it takes the form of the sides next to it, and it's because you can't add cement into the water, and that's how they fill it and they construct it.
그래서 수중에서 전체를 결속함으로 해서 태풍이나 쓰나미도 막을 수 있는 강인한 구조물을 만들 수 있다.
So they place it, they put the rods, they fill it with cement, and then one by one each stack goes up, and then that's the completed Tiecell site, which protects against typhoons and other natural disasters.
그리고 강인한 구조물과 함께 해파관에서 월파를 15대 잡을 수 있다.
So about 15 times it's able to protect the water attacking the shore. So the protection is about more than 15 times.
그리고 이 뷰가 아름답고 레저 낚시라든지 관광을 하기가 상당히 좋은 장소가 됩니다.
So as you can also see, considering the TTPs on the side, and this is the new Tiecell's technology, it's much more pleasant to the eyes, as well as for the commuters to walk and do anything else like fishing, etc. on the side as well.
그래서 TTP 방파제는 저반이라든지 이런 행위가 상당히 불편한데 우리는 그런 걸 할 수 있다.
So TTP has a lot of disadvantages, like it being too high, or it can causes casualties among people, can sink with the garbage accumulating in between the gaps. This Tiecell protects against all of that and creates a much more cleaner space and safer space.
해안 침식에 관해서 저희가 진행했던 연구를 말씀드리겠습니다.
So till now, all the works that has been done so far in Korea, especially, we're just going to go through that.
한국에서도 해수욕장들의 침식에 관해서 상당히 문제를 많이 느끼고 있었습니다.
There was a lot of issues with regards to the coastline in Korea as well, and
그래서 이 부분을 해결하기 위해서 국가 연구비를 받아서 연구를 진행했고 상용화에 성공했습니다.
so to tackle those issues, along with the Korean government, they came up with this technology.
그래서 이것은 이것은 호안에는 계속 쓰세요. 그냥 해안에 형성한 해파블록이 됐습니다. 이거는 한국에서 주로 쓰는 수중 방파제.
So this is the system, that's the breakwater system that's been used in Korea.
자, 이것은 직격일 경우에 위에 그림과 같이 파도 에너지가 밑으로 파고들면서 세굴이 일어난 걸 보여줍니다.
As you can see in the top image, the water keeps hitting the barrier and it keeps going downwards and eroding the soil under. Whereas if you see our Tiecell's product,
밑에 그림은 파도가 들어가서 에너지를 위로 분산하면서 세굴이 되는 게 아니고 쌓이게 됩니다.
so instead of attacking the water and corroding the soil as well as this thing, our technology uses the energy of the water and just keeps circulating within the water so as to avoid any corrosion.
여기 보시면 에너지를 줄여주는 게 제일 중요한데 그 에너지를 줄여주는 방법에 대해서 설명을 합니다. 에너지가 파도의 에너지가 포를 통해서 올라가면서 중력이 작용하고 중력이 따라오던 모래가 중력에 의해서 아주 에너지가 약한 상태에서 그 안에 쌓이게 됩니다.
So how this works is that there is an air compressed air chamber in the back, so when the water enters through the holes, it reduces the effect and then comes out. And as you can see, the sand also keeps going inside, but again deposits back outside, which prevents the sand corrosion as well.
그래서 태풍 시에는 월파를 적극적으로 방지해주고 그 다음에 침식을 방지해주면서 전망은 확실하게 확보할 수 있는 아주 다용도 기능의 방파제가 되겠습니다.
So this not only works as a prevention for like using waves, but like I said, also sand is deposited back, so the sand does not keep eroding and spoiling the layer of the ocean.
그래서 이 공법은 아주 경제적이면서도 안정성은 기존에 비해서 5배를 늘릴 수 있는 획기적인 방법이 되겠습니다.
So, like I said, the tetrapod, in comparison with the tetrapod, the Tiecell product is effective in cost, in safety, as well as space. So, these are all the things that Tiecell tackles.
여기는 수중에서 이 블록들을 결속하는 장치에 대해서 설명하는 방법입니다.
This is the video of how the blocks are placed underwater and how the breakwater is constructed underwater.
방수막과 트리거망을 위해서 수상에서 콘크리트를 치고 있는 그런 모습이 있겠습니다.
So as I said, there is a waterproof membrane in which the concrete is poured inside, and then the waterproof membrane is closed. So then the concrete takes the shape of the space around it and settles into the breakwater shells, make it strong.
이러한 방법을 통해서 한국에서는 40군데 이상 설치를 하고 실제적으로 파괴되거나 그 다음에 월파를 잡는다는 것을 확인할 수 있습니다.
So with this technology in Korea as well, more than 40 places have utilized this technology, the breakwater technology. You can see the construction of the breakwater.
이렇게 형성이 되면 가격은 30% 기존에 비해서
So, in comparison with TTP or any other breakwater construction, Yujoo's Tiecell breakwater system costs 30% lesser economically, and it's much more economically viable. These are before and afters of TTP and Tiecell's difference.
장점에 대해서 설명드린 대로 이런 장점들이 있습니다.
So these are the explanations which you can go through about the benefits of Tiecell and the difference between the conventional technology versus our technology.
여기 이 영상은 해파관이 파가 들어가서 바닥에 보시면 공기 대포라고 해야 공기 액션이 노는 걸 볼 수 있습니다.
If you can see in the video, this extends till under the water, and so not just the water is entering and coming out of there, but you can also see little white foam underwater, which means that it's doing the same thing underwater as well. It's taking the water, the entire construction is taking the water and expelling it even underwater, which is what the white foam under the surface of the water is visible. It doesn't just do this on the top, it does this until the head. So the air compressor is in the back, so when there's water entering through all four holes, because sometimes that does happen, then it sort of expands and then pushes it out. But when it only enters through these two holes, it just automatically comes out, or if it goes through these, it will come out from there. But when all four are full, then the air expands and then pushes it out.
Not a compressor, what is the air inside?
Yeah, the air inside, yeah, there's no compressor as such.
A는 압축수 물질이고 물은 비압축수. 압축. 그래서 이런 기능으로 인해서 월파를 기존 TDP보다 15배 잡을 수 있습니다.
Yeah. So through this technology, we're able to prevent water and use the wastewater technology better 15 times than normal TTP and conventional methods.
이거는 한국의 부산 칠암의 방파제인데 당초에는 여기 저희가 50m 시험 시공입니다.
So this is the view in the Korean port. This is about, that's the TTP side, and this is the Tiecell technology, which is about 10 meters in with a length.
그런데 기존에 이렇게 TDP들이 높이 있지만 월파가 폐가 많았다.
So even though the TTP is quite tall and they reach up to 3 meters in height, they don't really stop the waves coming and splashing over onto the land.
주민들의 요구에 의해서 저희 타이셀이 설치되었다.
So with the consent from the people living in the town, they constructed the Tiecell breakwater system.
지금 원래 TDP보다 2m가 낮아진 상태에 길에서 80cm 가까이 올라요.
So it's much shorter than the TTP which you can see on the side, and from the floor it's only about 85 centimeters in height.
여기는 거의 4m가 낮아진 형태다.
This is the TTP which is about 3 meters in height. And this is where it was removed and constructed again, so you can see how well it has been emptied and used.
아까 TDP에서는 월파 폐가 많아서 주민들 민원이 많았는데 이렇게 하고서는 월파 폐가 하나도 없다.
So in that, because of the TTP, there was a lot of waves crashing over onto the land, but because of this construction, they were able to prevent any water landing on the thing and be able to use the bridge for the people.
그래서 TDP 있을 때는 지금 사람이 걸어 다니는 곳이 원래 TDP가 있던 장소다.
So where you see people walking on the side is where the TTP was originally placed, the tetrapods. But now they removed it, and with the use of Tiecell, they're able to walk on the same place.
지금은 그 공간을 TDP가 아닌 이 산책로로 만들어서
Yeah, then it's now become a spot for people to come because the TTP has been removed from there and utilized. The space has been utilized well, so they're able to. Check.
여기는 이제 방알리 지역장, 부산 방알리 지역장.
This is the view of the seawall in Busan.
한국에서는 파도를 직접적으로 막기 때문에 바로 부셔서
Yeah. So because in Korea they were able to utilize the space well and create the breakwater, they were able to utilize the space immediately near the beach and create constructions like apartments and which are hotspots in the city.
이렇게 가까이 구조물들이 붙어 있어도 우리는 월파를 막기 때문에 이게 가능했습니다.
Because we were able to stop the tides coming from onto the land, they were able to construct it in such a way.
이렇게 할 경우는 해안 관광 시설로 상당히 활용도.
So the usage of the space for public facility also increased because of Tiecell's technology.
자, 여기에 기본 결속을 어떻게
This is the video of how they're placing each block, the construction process.
이 장비는 가이셀 홀을 정확하게 맞추기 위한 가이셀 홀.
So as you can see, the red blocks are the guide poles. So they measure they match the guide pole into the holes, and then they put it inside. At the end of the guide pole also there's a camera which shows them how they're entering. So they lay each block with the guide pole so that it lands, each hole is on top of each other. So in the end when they place the final pole, once this goes in, it makes it easy.
이렇게 해서 수중에서 홀을 정확하게 맞춘다.
They are able to match it properly through this process. The red part comes out. They place the block one on top of the other, and then the red things come out again with guide poles, and then they again place the fresh patch.
이렇게 맞춘 다음에 홀에다가 우리가 방수막과 체험망이 들어가 있는 방수막을 설치하게 됩니다.
So once it's all been placed, and this is the waterproof membrane I was talking about, they place the membrane inside and then they start filling it with cement so that it takes the shape of the structure.
수중에서 공급을 시키지만 방수막에서 배수를 차단합니다.
The waterproof membrane acts as a waterproof barrier so that the cement does not interact with the water and it's able to take the correct shape of the structure.
육지와 똑같은 강도를 유지합니다.
It uses the strength which it uses to barricade the water, and it uses the same strength and it's strong enough as the surrounding area as well.
이렇게 해서 수중에서 교족하게 됨으로 해서 획기적으로 안정성을
So by putting it inside like this is the prototype which they were testing in the lab. So by doing so, it makes the blocks strong and safe and don't move because the concrete has taken the shape of the blocks.
자, 여기서 지금 수도
블록
So as I was explaining, these are the blocks. Imagine this is underwater. These are the cement blocks that have been placed. They've all been placed one on top of the other. Then the waterproof membrane enters in an empty state, and then they fill it with concrete, and you can see it start filling up and taking the shape of the whole of the structure.
자, 방수막이 펼쳐서 내려갈 경우에 방수막이 파손된다. 하지만 수압과 콘크리트의 압력이 적정에 이르러서 쪼그라진 형태로 내린다.
So because of it being a membrane, it facilitates in the shape of the concrete taking a strong shape and making the structure stronger.
그래서 계속 콘크리트를 집어넣으면 풍선 굴듯이.
As you keep filling the concrete inside, it keeps increasing and doubling in size.
이걸 하도 기술적으로 궁금해하고 시민분들이 확인해 달라고 해서 저희가 투명하게 해서
So because people were curious as to how this process works underwater, they created a transparent site for people to see exactly how the process works.
수중에서 지금까지 전 세계가 수중에서 콘크리트를 못 친다는 명제에 갇혀서 모든 문제를 해결을 못했다.
Because
이 수중에서 이 콘크리트를 이렇게 칠 수 있다는 것은 획기적으로 모든 해양 구조물을 혁신할 수 있다는 이야기를 할 수 있습니다.
So using the concrete, it helps. It solves most of the issues that were coming in the other technologies, but they were able to use concrete to make this a stronger structure.
자, 이 공법을 이용하면 상당히 많은 쪽에 활용할 수 있습니다.
using this technology, as I said before, there's a lot of profits in terms of structure and strength and economy. It's all viable in many ways.
한국에서 기술 인증을 받기 위해서 이 논문 행위를 했고 지금 넣었던 타설했던 그 기둥을 거기에서 강도 시험을.
So the process that you just saw where the cement was taken off was the blocks. So they wanted to check if the cement that has gone inside is as strong and has been able to withstand the barrier of the water. So they removed all the blocks. They just took out the cement block, and they are now testing the strength in a university in Korea. So what I was explaining, you see these little indents on the cement. That is the cement having taken the shape of the structure inside. So which makes it stronger. So if there is any strong wave and the boat does not, the shelf don't move. So these make sure that it's properly stuck inside the blocks.
그래서 이 부분이 상당히 중요한 부분이 되겠습니다. 이렇게 한국 정부의 신기술 인증을 받아서.
Yes, so they have been able to acquire patent of this technology.
이것은 TLP 방파제와 방구형 방파제인데 여기서 배파 블록은 없는 상태입니다.
So as you can see here, this is the normal TTP, which is a sloped construction. Water is going and falling off. This is another TTP construction with a curved blockade, but it does not use the Tiecell technology in these images.
여기에 이렇게 할 경우에도 85%의 돌파 저감 효과입니다.
So with this, if you start using the Tiecell technology as well, it becomes 85% more effective in stopping, in preventing any disasters and using as a breakwater technology.
여기서 타이셀이라는 이 결속하는 부분이 꼭 있어야지 그 파도 안정을 되죠.
So only if this is placed here can it prevent the it can be used as a breakwater technology.
여기서
Sir, actually, one doubt, sir. Actually, just we are placing the blocks as such, no, sir. On the seabed, we are placing the blocks. Okay, it will undergo settlement, no? How we are going to tackle that? We are telling that we are going to maintain a what is that walking platform like that, no? So that this Tiecell block will create a walking platform. But there is every possibility for that particular Tiecell block to undergo settlement.
Okay.
But that how we are going to tackle that problem?
Settlement on the seabed, you are saying?
Yes, definitely the block will settle, no? Over a period of time. Maybe at the time of the construction it may remain intact, but over a period of time, definitely it will settle. Because we are not founding, we are not providing any type of foundation for that Tiecell block. Okay.
여기 한국에서는 연합 지방 밑에가 소프트 지형으로 되어 있고 DC에 콘크리트 DC에 목적으로 간단하게 나옵니다.
So since the sea, so there are we will be coming to that in the next this thing as well. But in Korea, since the seabed is soft, they were able to use the concrete blocks and settle them in the seabed itself, and then place the rest on top. In the other models, when the guide pipe goes inside, it also acts as a fixing.
그리고 지질 조사를 해서 단단한 시간이면 돌을 깔고 놓고.
So if since Korea had a soft bed, but if there are places which are not able, since it's unstable and they're not able to place it in a stable form, they add rocks and they make it stable in the center. Those processes also will be explained in the.
So excuse me. Ma'am, if the time of tsunami, what is that?
In the time of tsunami?
If the time of tsunami is attacking, how it can be done?
So the tsunami would take what?
쓰나미가 올 때 이 경사대는 돌파를 위험한 분위기 때 타고 넘어가거든요. 그런데 우리 거는 에너지가 크면 클수록 더 앞으로 밀어내기 때문에.
So what he's trying to say is, when they're using TTP, you can hear me without the mic, right? So when they're using TTP, the tsunami wave will come and fall over onto the coast. But in this format, since it takes the energy of the water, it throws it back into the sea. So the wave format really helps it to come like this and go back, instead of it falling into the city. So that's the curvature, and that's why this also is important, because the water is taken inside by the holes and then sent out.
Most of the time, tsunami wave height will be very high.
Yeah, so the height also can be
Tsunami cannot be taken care. It will inundate.
It can be done in the shallow water.
It can take care of monsoon. Tell it. Tsunami cannot be taken care of.
First he will make presentation, then you ask the question. I think better to first make presentation.
이미 파도가 여기서 바닥에서 올 때 이 높아도를 여기서부터 이렇게 밀고 올라가기 때문에 바닥에서부터 물높이에 차이가 없다. 밑에서 불어도 밑에 바닥도 이렇게 가기 때문에 거기에 대해서 이 에너지가 되돌아가는 에너지가 항상 높아도 발생합니다.
Madam, first you make presentation. First you complete your presentation, then we will ask.
Yeah, but to answer your question alone, he said that it doesn't matter the height of the thing, because the seabed moves from here, so the water will start accumulating and then coming out, but we will explain later. We'll have question sessions at the end. We'll finish the presentation and then do the questions.
설명을 하면 여기도 일부 내용이 나오니까 그걸 끝. 자, 저희는 20년 전부터 이런 쭉 항만 관련되는 기술들을 개발해서 20년 동안 개발해서 상용화했습니다. 자, 기존의 TDP 방식, 그 다음에 블록식, 게이션식이 있는데 이 단점들을 저희가 극복하기 위해서 완전히 새로운 공법을.
So as you can see that there's three types of breakwaters. There's TTP, block type, and KESAN. So considering the disadvantage of all three is how they have created the Tiecell product.
이 장점은 게이션 방식이 좋은데 게이션은 너무 비싸고 큰 장비가 필요합니다. 그렇지만 블록식은 소형 게 작지만 너무 파도에 약하다. 태풍에 약하다.
So if you see the KESAN form, it requires a lot of construction costs, and even placing inside the water it takes astronomical costs. And in terms of block, even though you just place the blocks one on top of the other, which makes it weak against excessive typhoons and force.
그래서 게이션을 잘라서 수중에서 결속시켰다고 생각합니다.
So if you can see that the KESAN is just one big entity placed inside the water, which is why it's so expensive. They have simplified that into blocks, and they started placing it. So they use the disadvantages of both to create a product which tackles both problems.
자, 이렇게 해서 동형 작게 들면서 강성은 훨씬 크게 만든 기술이 되겠습니다.
So with this, something which utilizes lesser costs but is much stronger and stable.
저희는 이 관련된 것을 70개 보유를 하고 있습니다.
We're using about 70 technologies and research aspects, and they have been.
그리고 전 세계 뜻들을 60개국에 확보를 했고 확보하고 있습니다.
As you can see, they've been applying and securing patents all across the world so that they can used this technology in other cities and countries. These are all the places in Korea where this Tiecell technology has been used. It crosses 40, over 40.
한국에서는 40군데 이상 설치를 했지만 지금 10년이 지났는데 단 1cm의 파괴나 이동도 없다. 그래서 저희가 절대 파괴되지 않는다고 확신을 갖게 됐습니다.
Since they've been using it in 40 different places, they are able to make sure that each centimeter and everything is validated for.
지금 이것은 항 전체에 우리 타이셀을 적용한 도면입니다.
This is the plan of how they're making it in the port in Korea.
아주 많은 시설에 한국에서는 적용해서 안전성을 입증했습니다. 부산에 설치되어 있는 도시입니다.
Yeah, these are the following pictures. Also will be all the places that work has been happening and continues to happen in Korea.
부산항에 여기 다이셀과 대파블록이 설치되어 있는 곳입니다. 그리고 이 공법은 풍력에 적용하기를 원해서 풍력 제주도 풍력의 4.2m.
So apart from just doing breakwater technology for the seas, they're doing also an offshore wind power technology, which basically, if you can see in that picture, the pedestal on which the windmill has been mounted on uses the Tiecell technology of the holes in the water coming in.
그래서 지금은 활용 분야가 많이 쿠웨이트 등과도 지금 진행하고 있고, 그 다음에 여기 보시면
테트라포트는 이렇게 쭉 커져야 됩니다. 라인이. 왜냐하면 파도에 계실 텐데 태풍이 이렇게 넘어가거든요. 미끄럼틀을 공사해서. 하지만 좁은 면이지만 이게 훨씬 더 안전합니다. 그리고 월파는 이렇게 넘기기 때문에 금액적으로 상당히.
It's just another description of how the TTP is constructed, and it takes up this much space, and it causes the wave or the typhoon or anything to cross over the other side. But this is something which prevents that from happening and takes much lesser space, which is why it's economical, and you can see the cost difference as well. So in Kuwait and Indonesia,
설계를 하고 있습니다. 여기는 부산인데 기존에는 저 TDP 식으로 되어 있어서 월파가 너무 많아서 우리 거로 많은 군데에서 설계 공부를 하고 있습니다.
so in Busan also, this is the curved beach, and it's already having the TTP. So now they're planning on creating the Tiecell like you saw in the other picture, because the waves are very strong and coming onto the city.
동일한 높이에서 파도가 이 미끄럼틀처럼 넘어옵니다. 하지만 여기서 바닥에서부터 수중에서부터 돌아오기 때문에 에너지가, 그래서 이 높이 수위에서도 알려서 넘어가게 됩니다.
So as we were talking about it, this is the explanation of TTP and how it falls over to the city. Whereas here, it utilizes its own energy and comes back into the sea and doesn't fall onto the land.
여기서 중요한 것은 여기에 양압력이 많이 발생하는데 이 기둥이 타이셀이 잡아주지 않으면 다 파괴되거든요.
So what's really important to note here is that the curve is not the only thing that makes a difference. If the wall did not have the Tiecell technology, the holes here, and it didn't do its job from here itself, then this wave would not matter, because they need the wall also to be secure and absorbing.
물 속에서도 이 에너지가 돌아가기 때문에 이 수면이 높더라도 이서 돌아가는 에너지를 상쇄할 수 있기 때문에 이게 아무리 높아도 돌아가면서 밀어낼 수 있다.
So irrespective of how high the wave is, because these holes are doing the same thing from the first step itself, the energy is constantly accumulated and sent back, so this reduces the waves effect here on top.
그래서 요 해파관들이 여기서 밀어내고 여기서 밀어내고 여기서 밀어내고 이렇게 밀어내기 때문에 상당히 월탄이 나고.
아까 설명드린 모습이고 여기서 1차적으로 충돌 일어나고 또 밀어내면서 다음 오는 파도와 부딪히게 됩니다.
So exactly what we've been explaining, just a diagram view of the same.
자 여기서 이거는 트리피 화재고 여기서 대파 블록이 이렇게 설치가 되어 있는데 이 실험을 동일한 높이의 실험을 해보면 15배 차이.
Yeah, as you can also see, the TTP method and this method, if you compare, the difference is about 15 times more, and this is able to stop the water 15 times better.
그럼 아까 방구형과 요거를 같이 쉽게 말해서 방구형의 해파를 달 경우에는 20배 이상 돌파를 차이.
So when you're just using this, it's 15 times more. But if you use this technology, the bolts, then it's even 20 times higher.
자 여기서 파가 압축 공기가 발생해서 이 압축된 공기가 뿜어져 넘으면서 월파를 잡습니다.
This is what I was explaining about the air entering all four sides. So if wave tends to go into all four holes, the compressed air then expands and pushes out the wave.
이와 같은 여러 가지 형태의 방향이나 어디서 오든 간에 정확하게 90도로 정면으로 팔을 뿜어내기 때문에 그 월파를 확실히 잡습니다.
The blocks are able to stop the wave because of the way it's been constructed. What's important to note here?
자, 이거는 파도가 치면 이 수정하는 구물이니까 정복됩니다. 계속 파가 정복돼서 여기서 돌파가 되는데.
So as you can see in this diagram, as the water hits the rocks, it keeps hitting and then it goes forward. So it hits and it goes forward, it hits and it goes forward, leading to an accumulation point, and at that point it all comes up. Whereas when using the Tiecell technology,
자, 여기서는 입사각이 45도로 들어왔지만 돌아오는 건 직각 90도, 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 90도. 그래서 해소를 다 시키면서 합니다.
So unlike that method where it was hitting and then keep accumulating in front, here what you can see is water is entering, comes out in a 90-degree angle. So even if there's fresh water coming from here, there's no impact created here, and that softens the blow on the entire coast.
자, 이거와 같이 여기서 들어오는 파도가 이렇게 돌아서 에너지가 바로 또 부딪히게 만들고 이렇게 들어오는 것은 여기 와서 껴서 또 밑으로 뽑아내기 때문에
It's as the picture suggests, it can go from down to up or up to down. The dissipation of wave energy it depends on the wave's strength.
저희가 이거 개발했지만 이걸 하면서도 모르는 내용들이 많이 밝혀지고 있습니다. 확실한 것은 월파를 잡는 데는 최적화되어 있는 구조물이다.
So as they keep researching on this product, new things keep coming which they have not yet been aware of. But one thing that they're sure of is that using this technology to sustain the waves and send them back out is the way to go.
설명을 드리는 거고, 그런데 트리피 구조물은 수용하는 구조물, 파도를 밀어내지 못하고 받아들이는데 큰 파도가 오면 더 이상 못 받아들이기 때문에 하고 넘어가요. 그래서 월파 피해가 많이 발생하고 많이 높아야 된다.
So what he meant by he's sure about using this technology is that if you see in a TTP, the tetrapod, when the wave hits, because the tetrapod in itself does not have an ability to absorb the water, it tends to send over almost 50% of the wave over it, and causing difficulty on the shore, which is different from what this does. It absorbs most of it and sends little.
여기는 한국 송도에 관한 얘기인데 이게 기존 공법을 설치되어 있는 것이다.
So this is the phase 1's planned height of using TTP instead of Tiecell, which is almost 7 meters. So, yeah, uses that much space.
그래서 여기서 7m 거의 그 바닥 보인다.
So because it's so high, you cannot even see the sea.
전면은 TDP 7m가 있고.
So yeah, this also the TTP itself is 7 meters. This is a different kind of construction, as a different construction, but they're almost 7 meters in height.
그래서 사람들이 보면 바닥 하나도 안 보인다. 그래서 불만이 상당히 많다.
Because people are not able to see the sea and it's blocked, there's a lot of complaints from the people as well.
그래서 여기에 우리 공법을 적용하려고 한다.
And which is why they're planning on using Tiecell in this space as well to clean it up as they did in the other places.
우리는 3m면 충분히 월파를 막을 수 있다.
In this case, just 4 meters height should be enough to create a space.
그 다음에 한국의 방파제는 이렇게 생겼다. 찬나이 이렇게 방파제가 되어 있고 한국은 이렇게 되어 있다.
So in Chennai, I'm sure we all must have seen the breakwater is like a little bridge like this, right? But in Korea, they're set up like this in the middle of the. So this is the coast and this is the breakwater system, unlike Chennai.
여기에 자연세를 하게 되면 들어온 파도가 앞으로 밀어내면서 월파를 다 잡아줍니다.
So the advantage of keeping them here in the sort of away from the coast is that the waves that are coming, they block them here itself and they send them back. So not at the shore.
자, 여기는 아까 말씀 실험인데 실내에 설치될 때는 이렇게 쌓이지 않았는데 아까 기능으로 여기 이제 모래가 쌓이는 과정을 설명을 드립니다.
So it's explaining how the erosion is prevented. So this is the picture of when it was installed 10 years back, and this is how it is right now. So you can see all the sediment that has just gone inside and come out. So if people are wondering as to how this can be removed, in Korea there's regular typhoon and everything, so it automatically rains and brings it back into the sea. But you can also, I'm sure, remove them by hand. But you can see how this prevents erosion. These are just before and after pictures of the sites.
요거는 우리가 전과 불을 설명을 드리고 요것도 전에는 이거 했는데 이렇게 변했고 여기 이렇게 변했습니다.
Before and after.
그다음 이게 요 기둥에 대한 구조였어요.
So this is the FEM finite element analysis of this structure, and as you can see, it's extremely safe. Yeah.
여기서 이 기둥이 있고 없고에 대한 외력을 산정하는 방법을 보고 여기서 이제 요 구조초에 대한 중요한 문제들을 우리가 실험해서 논문 발표하는 것이다.
So as they were researching and creating this process, they were able to see with no block only pile what is the effectiveness, what is it with blocks, what is it with shear key, and as you can see, the shear key is the safest option of all three.
구조는 여기서 중요한 것은 대형 구조물이기 때문에 오차가 발생하는데 오차를 보정할 수 있는 방법이 그 방수막인 쇼트 재질이기 때문에 이런 걸 보정해서 항상 그대로 형성을 시켜준다.
This is again just a diagram view of the indents we saw in the cement structure. This is how it makes sure that the indents are there. And so when there's wave hitting, it doesn't shake the structure. The indent sort of fixes it in the block.
그래서 가격은 기존 TDP나 케이슨보다 저희가 30% 이상 절감합니다.
Yeah, we're about 30% less cheaper than a caisson or a block or a breakwater.
왜냐하면 이게 필요 없다. TDP가 필요 없고 요금은 충분하기 때문에 TDP를 안 찍어도 된다. 안 만들어도 된다.
So another reason of why it's cost effective is because we don't need TTPs anymore. You don't have to make the TTPs anymore to use them here. So that's also.
우리는 TDP가 필요 없다.
We don't need TTP.
자, 이게 이제 무들고리 공법인데 이 블록을 드는 공법을 기존에는 와이어로프를 이렇게 매입해서 한 번밖에 못 썼다.
So in the methods that have been being used till now, when they use these wires, the iron wires, to place the blocks inside, because it's a one-time use and they easily get corroded in water and get rusted. So this is the alternative that they have come up with.
이거는 관을 넣어서 와이어프를 넣고 거치한 다음에 다시 빼서 1000번이고 2000번이고 계속 쓴다.
Yeah, so as you can see, the wires are placed inside. They place the blocks, and then they can use the same wires to remove the blocks whenever they want, and just remove the wires as well, which protects it from any corrosion, and it's much cheaper, the wire that they're using.
그래서 공사비를 많이 합니다.
Yes, it's cheaper.
그리고 이렇게 드는 방식은 최대 80톤밖에 된다. 80톤.
So this wire the max it can weigh, carry is about 80 tons.
근데 여기로 하면 무한정으로
So the above method you can lift as heavy as you can. It's not limited to a set weight.
그래서 이쪽을 활용하는 것도 항만공사를 많이 한 인도 측에서 보면 수천억을 아껴주는 방법입니다.
So it aids all in all in cost effectivity of the model.
그 다음에 뭐 있죠? 자, 타이셀에는 1번, 2번, 3번이다.
So Tiecell, the construction, the idea itself, there's three types. There's Tiecell 1, Tiecell 2, and Tiecell 3. What we spoke up until now was Tiecell 1. We're now going to start speaking about Tiecell 2, which is Tiecell with penetration.
타이셀 2를 설명드리겠습니다. 여기서 천공원에서 밑에 안반이나 집안에 관통시켜서 이 구조물의 크기를 줄여서 더욱 경제적으로.
So this answers somebody's question they asked as well, how do they fix it in the seabed. Unlike the previous one, they drill the poles inside. So if you see this item, this is the seabed, and the poles have been drilled inside the seabed, and that's how it's stuck there with effectivity.
그러면 공사비를 예를 들어서 20m 방패사가 필요한데 이렇게 하면 5m를 줄일 수 있다.
So in terms of cost effectiveness, if you need say 20 meters of a breakwater system, with this method only 5 meters of the breakwater system can be used to be as effective.
공사비를 확실히 줄이면서 안정성은 몇 배로 상승시킬 수 있다.
So it definitely reduces the cost as well as makes it a much more safer setup.
그래서 기존의 방파제가 요 뚫려 있지 않다면 이만큼 넓어야 되는데 만약에 성공 타이셀을 하면 이렇게 줄어들 수 있다.
So what we meant by space reduction is this. Usually the normal one is being used in the blue way, but if you use this setup, it's just this much space that's used.
그래서 이 방법은 이 방추막에 철근망을 넣는데 또 바닥까지 내려가는 게 다른 것이다.
So the method is penetration, as the name suggests. It goes through the holes again with the waterproof membrane and then settles itself into the seabed.
그리고 이제 마지막으로 타이셀이 1번, 2번, 3번이 있는데 3번에 대해서 설명드립니다.
This is the third Tiecell option, which is the drainage type.
타이셀 3번은 지금까지 구조적으로 1번이 밑에 바닥과 연결되지 않았다는 근본적인 문제를 해결하기 위해서 자, 여기서 이제 블록들이 철근이 바닥에서부터 올라온 상태로 물속에 잠기고 그 위에 블록들을 굽는 방식이다. 그래서 철근이 밑에부터 연결이 되어 있다.
So the difference between the first and the third is, it starts with the concrete being placed on the floor with the rod inside, and then we start placing these on top. And the reason it's called drainage method is because they remove the water. So because as if you put an empty block inside, there is water that comes inside. They remove it completely, and then they place each stack on top of the other.
이렇게 하는 이유는 구조적으로 더 축소시키면서 안전을 높이기 위해서 한국에는 지금 3군데가 완성이 돼서 상당히 공사비를 줄여요.
This is a much more stronger model, which is a variation of the first one, where you were just placing blocks and then placing the pole in the end, and this is you placing the concrete and the pole first, and then on top of that.
여기는 좀 더 복잡한 기술들이 들어가는데 이 짧은 시기에 설명을 드리긴 좀 그래서 차차 또 자료로 설명드립니다.
So right now the detailed explanation of all of this is a little, because we're short on time, so we'll explain that one-on-one if anybody is curious.
기본 개념은 블록 위에 패킹을 넣어서 블록들에 차순시키는 것이다.
As you're placing the block one on top of the other, the sealing factor between each block is the sealing packing which they do for each block. So it enters like this, and then each layer will have a sealing pack. So when they put another one, it seals itself onto the bottom block.
그래서 일단 블록을 물속에 이렇게 거치를 한 다음에 지금 원통 안에는 철근방이 들어가 있고 거기는 드라이 상태입니다.
It starts with the first level, and then they place the rock and the first level, and then they place the packing device, and then they wait for the. This is all used crane. You done by using crane.
그래가지고 블록들을 계속 쌓으면 된다.
Yeah, they keep adding more and more blocks on top as it is.
쌓기 위한 위에 잘 들어갈 수 있도록 가이드 역할을 하는 캡이 있고.
So once this is all done, this is the cap that's used to tighten the top of the rods.
여기서 이 철근과 가이드 폴을 잡아주는 이 장치에 대해서 설명합니다.
We're going to explain the way the guide pole works.
이렇게 해서 다 쌓은 다음에 그래서 이 가이드 폴을 뺀다.
So they place the guide pole, they tighten it, and once everything is done, they just remove the guide pole and the waterproof membrane and the cement, and everything stays inside the boat. Yeah, and that's how it's constructed. So you can see that the guide pole has come out, and it's just the membrane and the structure which is left.
그래서 물 속에서 옹벽을
The construction, like the Kaison construction, so you were able to make this, which is big, inside the water by using this drainage format.
이렇게 되면 대량이 항만이나 방파제를 획기적으로 적은 비용에 형성할 수 있다.
So you can use the breakwater system as an entire, as a much larger breakwater system by using the third method.
그럼 이거는 TDP는 테트라포트는 하나하나 분리됩니다. TDP는 하나하나 분리됩니다.
So in terms of TTP, there's each one has. So each TTP is placed separately. It's not connected, whereas this is all connected through the cement.
그런데 타이셀은 전체를 연결한다.
The Tiecell is connected by one entire thing, and it's not a separate structure, which is.
그래서 아무리 큰 파도가 와도 이 자체적인 중량이 크기 때문에 견딜 수 있다.
Because of which it's a much more effective method.
이렇게 해서 TDP보다 작은 면적을 해도 견딜 수 있기 때문에 공사비가 줄어듭니다.
Hello. This is what we were talking about. That as you can see, the TTPs in the rice, it's able to.
그래서 기존 면적보다 상당히 작아져서 공사비를 줄입니다.
Yeah, it reduces the, as you can see, 60% of the
comparison of the cost effectiveness.
여기 가이드폴에 대한 기계 장치들에 의해서 잠수부 없이 바로 실수가 됩니다.
This is what I mentioned at the start, when they're using the guide pole to place the blocks inside, to maintain that, to make sure that they're putting it on the right place. There's a camera installed at the bottom of the guide pole which guides them inside the water.
이렇게 해서 훨씬 빨리 교체할 수 있다.
Yeah, it's a much more faster way of placing the structure.
그리고 기둥이 있는 것과 없는 것 차이가 100배 차이다. 100배.
The penetration, so there's almost 100 times difference in whether there is the pole inside or not. If it's just block stacked or with the cement poles, it's almost 100 times difference.
지진 시험도에서 지진 시험에서 훨씬 잘 쓰이는 걸 확인했다.
And it was able to resist the earthquake tests as well because it's placed underwater, so that's also.
그리고 아까와 같이 월파량을 TDP보다 15배
So if you could see that if you're using a sloping TDP breakwater system, if it's going about 15, the reflecting wave is only 1, so there's a 15 times difference between the two.
이렇게 해서 한국에서 설치를 10년 전부터 했는데 파손이 하나도 없었다.
There's been very good response in Korea as well by using all of this. This is the wires that we were talking about, the iron wires which get rusted. And the alternative is the wires and the U-shaped system. That's the images of that.
이게 새 제품이 들어가 있으면 해안가의 부식에 의한 해수 오염이 많이 된다. 그런 거 있다.
So by using this, you prevent rust, you make it cheaper, and it's convenient to use as well.
이거는 우리가
This is how they use the curves.
자, 감사합니다. 우리가 오랜 기간 연구해서 상영했는데 여기 상당히 축소돼서 설명을 하려니까 상당히 어려운데 확실한 것은 우리가 한국에서 많은 곳을 설치를 했지만 너무나도 잘 견디고 태풍에 강하기 때문에 자천적으로 자료와 논문을 통해서 많이 자료를 제공하도록 하겠습니다. 그래서 언제든지 어긋난 점이 있으면 우리 회사에 도움을 해주시면 저희가 적극적으로 답변하겠습니다. 질문을 받겠습니다.
He's thanking for this opportunity as well as saying that since it's limited time, it's difficult to imagine everything that he said, but it is a successful venture in Korea and he is very much open to using this in other parts as well. So if there is an opportunity, if you were to ever reach out to him, he'd be more than happy to reply. And now we'll be taking questions.
Actually, the setup unit usually weighs 4 ton or 8 ton. Okay, we can use the smaller crane capacity for lifting and placing. But in this case, we have to use the capacity which is having more than 100 tons, at least 300 or 400 ton capacity. The crane we have to position that permanently then use. Have you taken that in calculating the cost aspect? Because you are claiming that it is 30% less cost effective. So have you taken that in the cost aspect calculation?
화재 크기에 따라서 어떤 거는 12톤짜리를 할 수도 있고 큰 방파제는 200톤짜리입니다. 그래서 작은 거는 10톤이에요.
So he's saying that it depends on the
the size of the breakwater system that you want. There are blocks which are not 100 tons but also 10 tons and 12 tons. So depending on the structure, it varies in size, but that all has been taken into consideration. Yes.
I think due to lack of time, any questions, let them have what you want now.
Sure.
Please continue the talking.
One question. The line is
From the night, please ask the question.
One more session.
One more session. We'll do the question.
우리가 이 탈세를 활용하는 부분에 있어서 풍력이나 이 불씨에 관한 것들이 있는데 그걸 한번 더 보시고 끝나고 나서 질문을
So there's another part which Tiecell has been involved in. So we're going to talk about that and then we take questions in a one-on-one fashion.
이 탈세 그룹을 이용해서 풍력이나 불씨 인공 도시 등에 사용할 수 있는 기술이기 때문에 간단하게 요번 설명을 드리겠습니다.
So since Tiecell can be used as several blocks to construct something, it is now, you can see that how it's being used to create the windmill pedestal in Yujoo.
이거는 삭성문제가 제주도에 우리 타이셀 정법이 적용이 돼서 풍력 기초로 사용이 되고 있습니다. 그래서 이게 절감률이 그 기존 공법에 비해서 더 절감됩니다.
It's using the Tiecell one function and as a pedestal. So where it was much larger in space, it created a space economic structure for the windmill.
이건 한국 정부의 연구자로 개발됐습니다.
It's being used as the first structure for a windmill in Korea and Jeju.
그래서 이런 부분도 인도에서 활용할 부분 알 것 같아서 소개드립니다.
Since this could also be used in India, they feel that they'll be used for it in India. That's why they're introducing this product as well.
다음 시간이 없는 관계로 빨리 진행하겠습니다. 그 다음에 이게 부유체를 만드는 방법인데 콘크리트 부유체입니다. 이 콘크리트 부유체는 부유식 도시, 부유식 방파제, 부유식 발전소 등에 아주 활용되는 아주 멋진 기술이 됩니다.
So this is the packing that we were talking about, and this is how the floating device is created. So to place the windmill on.
그 콘크리트 위에 패킹을 설치를 해서 물 속에서 조립해야 되는데 이걸 한 덩어리를 크레인이 들 수가 없습니다. 너무 크기 때문에 그래서 물 속에서 만들어서 띄우는 방식입니다.
So as you can see, this is just a smaller scale of the main thing. But in the water, it's placed like this with the help of cranes one by one and assembled within the water because you can't lift the entire structure and place it in.
앞으로 이 공법이 전 세계적으로 상당히 필요한 공법이 되겠습니다.
This is what is required for the in future for the windmills because it floats and it's a much more lighter, effective method.
이거 활용 범위에 대해서 말씀드리면 이 그 구조물이 인공 부유식 도시 정도 되면 100m, 200m 너무 무겁습니다. 그래서 들 수 있는 크레인이 수중에서 결속해서 뛰어야 돼요.
So since the area is large, it uses a crane that can place things up to 100 meters, and it starts placing each block with the help of the crane within the water.
이런 식으로 똑같이 타이셀 공법이 여기에 들어갑니다.
So this is the Tiecell, the penetration, the Tiecell form, the technology that is being used to construct this as well.
여기는 타이셀 3번 공법이 들어갑니다.
So what they're using here is the Tiecell third method, the drainage method, where they placed the rods inside. Now they're taking out the guide poles and just keeping the waterproof membranes inside.
이렇게 기둥을 가선한 후에 안에 있는 물을 빼면 뜨게 됩니다.
So through that, they remove all the excess water which is there inside, and that's why it's called the drainage system. And then it's dragged to the place where the windmill is.
이렇게 해서 대상자에 가서 가라앉혀서 돌을 갖다 보면 화재가 돼요.
So they drag it with the thing, they keep it in the sea, and once they fill rocks into it, it becomes a breakwater system as well.
또 이렇게 띄워놓은 상태에서 앙카를 하면 부식 화재가 돼요.
So it becomes a floating breakwater device when it's placed with the float.
이렇게 하면 부의식 풍력 기초가 됩니다.
Yeah, this is the third type, which is the another floating way of placing. This is the three ways of how the
이렇게
devices are set up.
되면 도시나 도시가 인구 부의식 도시가 됩니다.
The cover is utilized for any construction or to make a city or something as well,
발전소로도 활용할 수 있습니다.
or other factory stuff as well.
자, 여기서 중요한 것은 제가 말씀드린 유조리 공포 와이어 설치합니다.
So this is exactly what we were talking about, the wire installation. That's how the wires are installed, and each block is there.
그래서 이 공법은 이 부의식 구조물을 안타링 시스템으로 이 공법이 들어가서 언제든지 와이어를 교체할 수 있는 형태로 만들었습니다.
So the wire can at any time be removed and adjusted, and this is the prototype of what the windmill resides on the pedestal.
이 공법을 쓰게 되면 예산을 획기적으로 절약할 수 있습니다.
You can
예산.
the investment value can be reduced by doing this way because it's cheaper.
이 공법이 적용돼가지고 방파제를 만든.
This is the video of how the breakwater system is being made.
자, 이게 유체에 활용되는 앙카링 시스템에서 추가 복 항상 유지시킵니다.
So, unlike the other pedestals in which the windmill resides on, you can see that the anchor is anchored thoroughly onto the seabed, and this is the floating block which helps in making this, so this doesn't move, and this is what is creating it's helping this float. And as you pull this also goes up. If you can see this, if this one is pulled up, then this goes up. So it's how this floating device works for the windmill pedestal, the breakwater set device.
그래서 이런 수면 상승, 탄소 기후위기, okay.
But so the other devices which use these wires are also extremely expensive, but these wires are again cost effective and are also stronger and are able to hold the top in place.
자, 이거는 수위가 상승되면 밸런스 추가 따라 올라가서 항상 수평을 유지합니다.
So that's how this balance block works. Depending on the wind or the any external forces, this always keeps the balance on top and does not affect the anchor or anything else.
이 시장은 전 세계적으로 수천 조 달러의 시장이
Basically, it costs a lot of dollars to use this method.
오케이. 이 제주도에 풍력을 했다는 것이고, 다음 저희가 30%에서 40%
Yeah, so it accounts to 30 to 40% reduction in the existing in comparison to the existing offshore wind power. This is again the cost comparison of the current method and the Yujoo method based on Tiecell balance.
64%의 절감이 가능해집니다.
Yeah, it's about 63% lesser.
다음, 이거는 아까 설명드린 그런 구조고, 여기에 기존에 있는 공법보다는 훨씬 안전하고 돈이 작게 들어갑니다.
These are the existing three types of what they call a system for the windmills. This is the one that Yujoo has created, and compared to all three, this is much more economical and saves space and much stronger as well.
이거는 기존의 도시 풍력 장치다.
This is another method of constructing. There's a prototype here as well by placing blocks under, and that's also breakwater.
한국에서는 핵발전소를 안 짓고 이렇게 풍력으로 지금 가고 있습니다. 한국 핵발전소.
So in Korea as well, they've used. So they're using the semi-submersive. These are the two types that Yujoo has created, and they're using the floating one.
그래서 기존은 이 100m 정도 되는데 우리는 40m를 줄이고도.
So the normal existing one is almost 100 meters, but we can. So they have reduced it to almost 40 meters, and it's being used right now.
그래서 이거 높이가 35cm이기 때문에 35m이기 때문에 보통의 암벽 구동이 18m라서 풍력기를 설치를 할 수가 없다. 하지만 우리 초타이셀은 이게 풍력기를 바로 설치할 수 있다.
So because of the height difference, you're not able to use the windmill like moving it in terms of balance. But because of this and because of the adjustable nature of the balance in the middle, you're able to place it however, and it doesn't shake.
그리고 이 언제나 수평을 유지하고 작동을 하기 때문에 이게 여기 풍력의 효율을 높일 수 있다.
So, irrespective of how much forces it withstands, because of the center, the balance block, it's able to withstand all the waves from the side.
그리고 에루션이 기존에는 이렇게 길이가 아주 길어진다. 그래서 억수로 비싸다.
Yeah. So, this is the way it's structured in the conventional methods, and it takes up a lot of space, which makes it more expensive. But that is a much more lesser space.
우리는 그냥 40m 안에서 모든 게 끝난다.
Ours just finishes in those 40 minutes. It's all done. We don't need the extra space.
그래서 기존 공법보다는 훨씬 더 안전하고 싸진다.
So, in comparison to the conventional method, it's much more cheaper and cost effective and space effective.
이게 이제 와이로프를 체인지하는 방법으로 여기서 계속 돌리면 체인지가 가능하다.
So by using, so you can change the wires and you can create new wires, which is also what I mentioned in the beginning, that it's inexpensive in comparison to the other wires. So you're able to change it as well by turning it around.
기존의 체인블록은 너무 비싸다.
The chain block is very expensive. The one that's being used already, the wires that are being used are very expensive, but these ones are much cheaper.
기존의 앙카 체인보다 우리는 100배 싸다.
It's 100 times cheaper than the conventional, this wire which he's talking about, these ones. The current ones are very expensive, and the ones we're using is 100 times cheaper.
그래서 웨이팅이 조절하면서 그 진동을 확실히 줄여줍니다.
Depending on the tide level, the pedestal is able to adjust its height using the weight block. 이 공법은 고정식 풍력 장치로서 This is the jacket method, which is another way of constructing the same thing, and this is what we were talking about in the beginning as well as the prototype.
그 풍력에는 부유식과 고중식이 있는데 이거는 고중식에 관한 것이고 고중식에서 이것도 블록으로 형성되어 있고 여기는 지압 GFRP 갑입니다.
This is another form of construction which uses the Tiecell technology, and unlike this, you're placing it in blocks again by placing the 2-4 poles, and they're all removable and they can be put and constructed in this way. So this is a different construction. This is just the image. So this is because the water level is in a low tide, they were able to easily construct it. But in case of a high tide or the water level being very high, this is how they would construct it underwater. And that was very easy because there was very limited water. They're using the Tiecell second format of construction. This is what they used for Yujoo. The first image that we were showing you is this. So based on the format that they constructed in Yujoo, they have come up with a format for how to use it for a deeper level of water.
여기가 전공 장비가 지방으로 전공하는.
So the construction materials, everything that we used were right next to the spot, and which again because it was a lower tide, and it's that easy to construct by creating the site right next to the construction site.
여기는 지반을 전공해서 코어를 써서 발치하는 것인데 이게 지반이다.
These are all made. This is what is entering, and this is the cord that's entering the holes, and this is the image of them.
이 공법은 타이셀 2번을 활용해서 하기 때문에 이미 많은 검증이 되어 있기 때문에 간단히라도 사용할 수 있습니다.
Because it's using the Tiecell second, the penetration method, it's ready to be used. It's not under research, but it's quite ready and has been done. This is how it was completed. So it's unlike, so these are all different constructions of how this is the caisson method and how much material and space it takes, but constructing with the Tiecell second method, it's quite convenient and consumes less space. And because of they need this much space and the crane to lift that much, it costs much more than what it would for the Tiecell method.
그래서 이 콘크리트이기 때문에 기존에 25년을 쓰지만 우리는 75년을 쓸 수 있다.
So the current one that they're using, it has a shelf life of 25 years, whereas the Tiecell method is about 75 years.
그리고 이 지금 필요한 이 시설이 별로 필요가 없다.
So they need both the jacket and monopile are the conventional methods which require a factory space and a lot of construction cost, whereas Tiecell does not.
그래서 인도에서 사업하기가 상당히.
So which is why it's very apt for happening in India because it requires lesser space.
이렇게 공간 시설이 필요한데.
So as you can see that the jacket and the other places require this much space, this much height. It's also unsafe, whereas this is just a block and tiny space next to the.
이거에 대한 설명이고 지금 인도 필리핀 같은 데는 전면에 매립 공사와 풍력 설치를 좀 설계하고.
So this is the diagram of the Philippine place. So that's the plan for the windmills in the sea, and this is the breakwater system that they're planning on creating here as well.
전면 해안에는 우리 화블록을 설치를 하고 이쪽 마지막 시설은 포시이동 설치하고 여기는 계단블록을 설치하고.
So there's three different types of Tiecell that they're using. There's one which is a step format, and I don't know if you can see. There's steps and there's the holes inside as well, so people can also sit and the water is retained and comes out. that is a different method, and this is also like a bridge method. So three different methods of
floating에 대한 그 설명인데 이거
this is just the explanation of how the floating devices are set up. Like I said, they put rocks inside. So this is they create the space and they add rocks to create stability in the hard rock.
이거는 여기에 대한 설명을
The dimensions.
자, 여기는 와이로프의 그 교체를 하기 위한 공법에 대해서 그려놨습니다.
That's how the wire rope is being used for connecting the anchor.
그 대형 구조물을 바다에 크레인 없이 안착시키는.
This is without the crane, just placing it inside for floating.
그래서 이런 구유체를 실험하는.
Just the experiment area of all the structures.
그래서 이에 대해서 국가용 과제로 진행했다.
These are all the upcoming projects, I mean, which were done in connection with the Korean government.
그래서 이렇게 많은 현장에 설치가 됐습니다. 그러나 이게 네온시티 이런 부유체 도시에 이 골프기 들어간다.
So then, this is another planned city which uses the Tiecell construction purpose for creating an artificial city in the sea. These are all city plans.
무의식 중에서 쉘이나 이런 데 하고 있다. 그래서 시장이 이렇게 크다.
So the plan of the market share and everything is this is the estimated plan.
설계부터 시공까지 저희가 모든 연구와 유성들을 진행합니다.
So these are everything starting from planning till design, everything is handled by the company, and these are the main heads of each department.
시장 설명도 감사합니다. 이 시장이 또 상당히 크기 때문에 하여튼 관심을 기울여주시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you so much for paying attention. And we now hand over the mic.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. I think it's a very nice presentation. Though you talked in Korean language, but with all the various models, a lot of explanation. But I think we should all give a big hand to Mathura. Thank you, Mathura. Thank you, sir. Please, I think Abhishek, please, please, Mr. Kim. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Now we start with, before we end the session, I think we have a very important guest. So, Dr. Ramesh Ramachandran. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Ramesh. Dr. Ramesh, or Professor Dr. Ramesh Ramachandran is an advisor to the Tamil Nadu Green Climate Company and founder director of National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management. Professor Ramesh served as a former chair of Future Coast, formerly known as Land Oceans Interactions in the Coastal Zone, where he implemented the nutrient budget for major estuaries on both the east and west coast of India, alongside numerous global studies. For the past decade, he has focused on land-ocean interface studies and the management to support policy decisions for the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Under his leadership at NCSCM, various transdisciplinary research studies have been conducted addressing coastal vulnerability, socio-economic development, coastal and marine conservation, spatial planning, land-based pollution, island management, integrated coastal zone management and climate change. Currently, he chairs the steering committee of Global Partnership on Nutrient Management, and he has played a pivotal role in coordinating with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, as well as with the Ministry of External Affairs in Nairobi during the negotiations leading to the UNEA4 resolution on sustainable nitrogen management, a milestone achievement led by India at the UN. He also serves as the national focal point and member secretary for the National Working Group on Sustainable Nitrogen Management. It's a great pleasure to have you with us today, sir, and I request you to address the gathering.
Good afternoon. Dr. Kairkol, Moses, the team from HECS, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I came here to listen the technical presentation, and I think Moses asked me to say a few words. I just wanted to say that whatever the presentation I was here, it was very excellent, technically very sound. And I think you must have seen over the last couple of weeks about the recent COP29, where the global issues are discussed in detail. And one of the major issues looking at the sea level rise and the temperature rise, particularly for our coastal ecosystems. Like we have a long coastline. I think Dr. Kairkol must have mentioned about our coastal regulation zone, the coastal zone management plans and things like that. I don't want to go into that fun. Our 7,500 kilometers of coastline, almost about 15 years back, I introduced the shoreline change assessment. When the ministry wanted that we want to have for the entire country, what is the shoreline, how you can assess. So we looked at the erosion, accretion patterns, and then come up with high, medium, low erosion. And the methodology is now being used, and then the ministry has, it's easy to take a policy decision, and we really know what are the high erosion sites. In total, we have nearly more than 40 to 45% of the coast is eroding. Why I would like to bring that one, the technology which is used here is definitely is going to be of greater importance. And being in the ministry and also in the government of Tamil Nadu, so we are looking at the coastal resilience. So the coastal resilience is one of the important issues, and we thought that we look at the first option for us is to conserve. So we try to promote as much as possible the soft solution. We promote the mangrove, the seagrass, the salt marshes, and the coral reef. That will be our first natural soldiers, which will help us to protect our coast. I think I have seen that the number of cyclones is increased over a period of time, and the number of places which is being hit is also high. So the second option, that is the option which we are not able, we cannot do it everywhere, the mangrove or the seagrass. So we have to go for the second option. The second option is to look at the hybrid solutions, where we have this protect the sand dune, and then also go for some of the hybrid solutions, for example, the different technologies which is demonstrated, which is some of them are very, very excellent, and one has to look at it this one. These solutions, the coast, each coast, even if we take our coast, each coast is different. Each part of the coast is different. We cannot just apply the technology as it is. So we have to go into the details of the coastal studies, the coastal process, and then design in such a way that we have to design that it will be able to address the local problems. So if you look at even Chennai coast itself, I have also promoted almost 5-6 years back when we opened our National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management. to look for the blue flag beaches. I think the ministry has thought that it is a very good idea to clean up the beaches. We have more than 1,200 beaches and 650 is accessible. So this blue flag certification not only gives us the aesthetics, and it also helps us to ecotourism and local livelihoods. So Tamil Nadu has taken up almost 10 plus CMD has taken another 4. Around 14 beaches are going to be a blue flag beaches. Already we have Kovalam, which are the beaches. So I think we look at these options and then try to promote more ecosystem way and also promote in the hybrid way to look at this one. The second one I would like to highlight from the studies, what I have seen is the offshore wind energy. When I was earlier with the National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management, we took up an offshore wind energy potential for the entire country. And we have seen that there are 2 major states which has huge potential of offshore. One is Tamil Nadu and second one is Gujarat. So these 2 potential sites have been identified. Now the National Institute of Wind Energy along with the renewable energy, they are trying to put some demo plans. And what as an environmental scientist we said there are certain areas which is no-go areas. For example, Gulf of Mannar, we have so much bioreserves are there. So we said these are the areas which we cannot use it. So now as per the our agreement on the global, we have a net zero, we come to the net zero by 2070, we did agree by 2050. So in Tamil Nadu, we are trying to look at least by 2030, 50% of our renewable energy is from renewable energy. We try to reduce as much as possible the other polluting energy sources. So there are some of the major milestones which we are looking at it, and definitely this type of interaction and with the technologies, we are definitely going to benefit. And thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
I request Dr. Moses to please take.
Sir?
Try to move this.
Slide, sir, on shield.
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 Now. You take that.
Mr. Jin Kim to please come onto the stage so that Dr. J.R. Moses will facilitate you.
You're working very hard.
Sir?
Sir.
At this point, I'd also like to thank Mr. Eisenhower for chairing the session, and we have a small memento for you as well, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. J.R. Moses, CEO of HECS, to give us the word of thanks.
Good afternoon, and at the outset, I would like to thank all of you who have successfully come for this wonderful session, which we had planned hardly 8 days back. And I should say it is a remarkable success, and as the host, Yujoo and we are very happy and impressed for all of you who have come here. And specifically, I would like to thank once again Mr. Dr. Karakwal, who has come here and he has motivated us, and he's been a very key support for this particular thing. And since it's a new technology, we really hope the government of India will support this project in days to come, such that it becomes a good success. And we had a wonderful, I should say, Mr. Sang's presentation was so nice, and we really see it's a great thing for the Indian, both eastern and western coast. I thank Karakwal sir for come, and also I would like to thank Professor Dr. Ramesh Ramchandran. I will say he is the person who really knows our Tamil Nadu coast. See, whenever we go for major projects, we approach him and he gives a very clear, distinct guidelines with all the legislations and what precaution we should take. Lot of projects, like I will not say, I mean, even very huge projects, he has given us good guidelines, and generally what he says is perfectly correct, and I thank him to come all the way today in spite of his tight schedule in secretariat, and come all the way to help and guide us on this. And of course I should also thank Dr. Vijay, and really yesterday middle of the night I saw the WhatsApp from Mr. Professor Sanasiraj that he is stuck up with some very emergency, he's flying out of Chennai. I told him, sir, please send your team member next year. And I was we were very thrilled and very happy to know we had a very good time with your session, and it was very nice, and it was good academic bridging, I should say. And I would like to thank our partners, Dr. Sam Kim, for making this program wonderfully happen, and really the strain he has taken, I should say, you have spoken for 1.5 hours or 2 hours. Really, I think the effort in which he has put, and the documentation and the support and the very beautiful team, and they've done a wonderful job. I think we should give them a big hand. And very important, I thank Mr. Eisenhower, who's been our support and mentor in corporate management. I really thank him today. And of course, I would like to thank every one of the delegates who have come. We are having people come all the way from here. There are people coming from Siri, Kota, and so many places. And I appreciate WRD, Tamil Nadu Government's Water Resource Department, had sent 15 of their engineers from different sectors. And we should thank the team, and we are going to have a separate session with them, and also with so many others from the different corporates who have come, Chennai Port Trust, Ennur Port Trust, Tuticorin Port Trust, and almost so many people. I apologize if I miss somebody. It has been a very wonderful, good technical seminar, and it has been an eye-opening for us also. And we look forward for your kind support in the days to come, and make a very safe coast for our great country. With this, I thank you once again.
Mr. Kim will be available after lunch. If any of you have questions, you can always have a chat with him. As we conclude our seminar today, I kindly ask everyone to stand for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध शुभलाभे